Well, what is going on out there in YouTube land? Look at that. I got Real Matt, Cheryl, Watt Live, Mickey. Look to God. Yep. Fire. 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 I got some fire. Yeah. Yeah, I was just over on Ron's chat on when he was on his stream, and hopefully some people will be following him over here in a minute. So we'll probably have some new people from across the pond. Maybe some people that's been around, but some across the pond people. Look at that. Look at that. What's on the agenda for tonight? What I mean, honestly, what I'm not really sure. Me and Ron, we're on another stream and we were having discussions about a lot of different stuff when it comes down to like, this migrant or what even this illegal stuff when it comes down to a lot of different countries, including over in the UK, over here, and all that stuff. PDF, what's up? And we were having discussions about that because we were on a panel and we were talking we had I don't know, there's probably about six of us on the panel. We were sitting there talking about it, and there's this one guy that he's from here in the States and stuff, but he's moved to like Uruguay or something like that. And his viewpoint was, it's like that fight or flight scenario, and his view is just a flight, Mickey. It was just a flight, and so his view is like, just to basically be a coward and take off and go to some other place, and don't don't fight for your land or whatever, because you got all these, like over in the UK, you got a lot of these Muslims and stuff like that, and all these Somalians and stuff like that, and all, basically just kind of coming in and taking over some places. And this guy's opinion was, just get up and go, but and what Ron made this point earlier. It was like, well, you're basically doing the exact same thing that we don't want here. You're just basically going to another country and occupying that country and stuff like that. I mean, he's doing it legally, but basically doing the exact same thing that we don't want over here is a bunch of these people coming in from all these other countries not willing to, assimilate or, give a crap about our way of life and our stuff like that, and try to basically occupy that country and turn it into what they the same country that they took off from. I mean, you see the Muslims, they've been doing it for a long time. They did it in Iran, they did it in Afghanistan. They've done it a lot, when it comes down to it. I mean, that's part of their thing too, is like, going into other countries and basically forcing them people into like Sharia law and all this other stuff, and turning it into a shithole. And I am not going to stand for it personally here in America. And I know there's a lot of people over there in the UK really don't want to, put up with it either. But it was just interesting that this one Indy. It was interesting how this guy was just his idea was just to say screw it and move somewhere else and get out. I'm not all about that. I'm not going to sit here and just just because these people want to come in here and turn this country into a shithole, and just fucking leave. No, I'm gonna as far as I'm gonna do whatever I can to kick those people out and back into their own shithole country instead. But you know, uh, oh, thanks, Cindy. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, just one of those things, man. Hey, Ron, I did put the link in the chat. If you don't see it, I'll put it in again. Hold on, I'll do that anyway. I'll put it in again. But maybe we get the conversation started up again, or something. And if anybody else wants to jump on, if I know you and all that good stuff, man, maybe we can get into this conversation or whatever and talk about these things. I mean, and that just happens to be one of the things. I mean, I'm outside in the fire, next to the fire, keeping my eyes open for that big rock or spaceship or whatever it is, the I-3 Atlas thing. I'm waiting for the big flying saucer to land out here in my yard because I'm going to take that sucker for a spin when it lands. So. But if it's just one big rock, who cares? It's like, well, whatever. We'll see what happens. And I'm going to keep my eyes open and keep my eyes up at the sky and look around and see if I see anything strange. But, even on that end of it, we got so much going on. I mean, hell, it just was like 3 hours ago. There was a stabbing over there in the UK on a train. Which is it's like fresh, breaking news type of shit. Multiple people were hurt, and I think one or more people are in critical condition. It's and there's really no news yet. I haven't heard any news yet on good, Gregory, you made it over. But we haven't heard any news yet exactly who the people, they claimed it was like, I don't know, it was one or two people, whatever. Here, maybe Ron can fill us in a little bit more.
All right, mate.
Now, all right, Ron, was it, when it comes down to that stabbing, when it comes down to that thing on the train, all right, now, they still don't know, like, the people or where they're from or where all that stuff is yet. They haven't figured that out yet or whatever, or they made it public yet.
Well, we this is the problem that we have in the UK is that they don't give us the full story. Like I turned around and said on my panel a little while ago, there's a case that happened a while ago and now the verdict and what have you has come out. And this is a problem that, like, it wasn't from, Ria Moon didn't find this out through the media. It was from somebody who quoted something in somebody else's chat.
Okay.
So it's like people on YouTube, Twitter or whatever, X, whatever it is, are finding the news before the actual news reports start coming out.
Yeah, because I did watch some of that stuff on GB News, but they didn't really give me a whole lot of information either. Even the video, I think, was from somebody's cell phone that they, so.
Well, we did. We come across an American channel, wasn't it? You was watching it, wouldn't you? And I forget what the name is, but he's saying I'm an independent news channel. and he was, I don't know how long he had been putting this story up, you know what I mean? And this, I think he's been going for quite a while before I mentioned it, and he was doing it on his YouTube channel. So, and it happened about 3 hours allegedly before Maria Moon found out, and I said it on the panel. So it's been going on for about 3 hours.
It's an Australian Sky News.
Oh, Australian Sky News.
Someone in Australia went into went into Lane's
chat and mentioned it
and said it. Yes,
yeah.
It was on their news.
So it is in Sky News. It seems quite a while ago, before it even hit the mainstream media. Apparently,
you could
in the country,
in
the country where you resided. So really, it should have been hit news. What was it, 7:39? Was it or something?
Yeah.
7:39. Surely that would have been headline news in the UK.
Okay.
So
I mean, you know, I was wondering because I mean, when you were first telling me about the story and stuff, when you were sitting there, because I didn't hear about it until you started, because you know, it was fresh. When you first heard it, it was fresh anyway. So I was like, man, I was starting to wonder if like these are, you know, like, you know, just some illegals or I don't know. You know, they were talking about a roving band of whatever, you know,
well,
gangs or whatever.
I know that on another channel, Maria Moon's been channel hopping while I was throwing my live up. There's another guy live, and he reckons that the terrorist unit or something has turned up. Was that what he was saying?
Yeah, and way more police.
And way more police, armed police, still there.
Apparently one person.
So
that's the video I saw on GB News. There was a whole bunch of police out there, and you know, emergency services type. You know,
so see, to me, when terrorists, if they have allegedly, we have to say allegedly these days. That if they have called out what's that, MI5, isn't it, or MI6 or something? Is that terrorist unit? I think it's something like that. And when they call them out, there must be a good reason that they've called them out. Has to be a good reason. You know, they just don't call them out just for somebody going around and being a maniac.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So if that is true, true.
Was it more than one person or was it just one person? That's the
well,
thing.
they're saying that two people allegedly have been arrested.
Right. Right. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't hear any of that on the news thing that I was watching anyway.
Yeah, well, I was reading that report earlier on, and it's indicating that there is more than one person that's been arrested. So
okay,
make of that what you will. Really,
yeah. And they were saying there was like one or more people that were like in critical condition or seriously hurt. So
well, this is it. What they'll tell us is that there's more likely at least one critical.
Right.
But as the story goes on, you know, we'd be more in, you know, it'd be more highlighted. But it still does come down to the fact that there's been no fatalities as of yet. Hopefully, it stays like that. Hopefully it stays that way, no fatalities. Although there's going to be mental scars, I'd say, on near enough every single person that will.
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
Those carriages.
Everybody is going to get on that train and going to be thinking about it. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And since it was more than one carriage, wasn't it? Because they were trying to flee into another carriage or something. People were.
That's people talking now. That's not news.
Yeah, but that's people talking.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
where
yeah,
they're getting
you
this
would
from.
you would think of that's what people would do if there was
If
an
it's a
incident in
train,
your
some
carriage.
trains you can't, can you? Some of the old trains you still can't.
I don't know.
I've seen the train, but I would imagine you could actually.
Yeah, you can go from one carriage to another. I'd have thought this day and
Yeah.
age you can do that on old trains. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's.
People are saying
I'll
it's
be
quite
honest
bad,
with
but
you.
I don't want to see footage in the train.
In the train, no,
Right.
no. There might be footage. There might be
Apparently there is
footage. So
train
yeah, I know, but
Still too early to tell, right?
yeah,
Apparently the
I've
driver has got CCTV. They pulled the emergency cord. He had another 6 minutes to get to the next station. So I'm imagining that he then calls the police, but he's got CCTV, the driver. That must be horrific for him, let alone the people.
well, there is what you turned around and said that there's a 20-minute gap between one station and the station that it ended up stopping at. If that's true,
From Petersburg to
Huntington
Cambridge.
to Cambridge.
That would be a long 20 minutes, right?
Well, if it's 20 minutes, fucking hell, is that going to be a long 20 minutes?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, not knowing what else may happen. You know what I mean? Because it might end up start off being a frenzied knife attack with how it's going on within the UK and other countries. You know what I mean? This isn't just an isolated thing. It's happening all over the place. But you are going to think, right, what else are they carrying? Are they what they call now fanatics, Islamists? Are they Hamas or something like that? You know what I mean? In that sort of isolation, because you're isolated, you can't do nothing. You are literally powerless. That all those things must be gone around their mind and thinking, is this going to be it?
Well, yeah, in some ways. I mean, but then, I mean, it would be really nice if people would be like, take it upon themselves and take those people down, but I don't know.
I suppose in a normal situation, yeah, if it's out on the street sort of thing, and you weren't not so many people, which were sort of in between your view lines, so then you could assess the situation, look at the person, look at the body, have they got anything, are they carrying anything, I suppose then you'd more likely tackle the person if you've got that opportunity. But in a train, it's so thin, and if that train has got a lot of people, then your eyesight might not be able to focus on, right, is this, is there a way of handling some? But there's nothing, when you think about it, in a train there is nothing you can actually pick up because everything's bolted in.
Right. Being a like public transportation, I mean, you definitely can't. You're not supposed to have weapons or anything like that. You know what I mean? And being in the UK, it's like very, that's another thing. You wouldn't have any weapons on you anyway, would you? Except for like maybe your handbag or something.
And where can you run to? Literally, it is you run to the next carriage.
Yeah, confined space. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It must be terrifying for that to, it's like when you hear about the plane incidences as well, you know what I mean? That's even worse. You know what I mean?
There was that one stabbing here in America just not too long ago, that Ukrainian girl that got stabbed on a bus. You know what I mean? And I mean,
are they deeming that as a racial attack, racial motivated, or have they still kept away from that one?
I mean, it's hard to tell, honestly, man, when it comes down to the media, because they're going to try and push all kinds of stuff, man. You know, when it comes down to it. But I really, you know, I don't know, man. You know, because it would be different if it was like a white guy that stabbed a black girl or something. It'd be different. That'd be like plastered all over the freaking news and stuff for weeks and weeks. You know what I mean? But um, it wasn't. So I mean, it's just I don't know. It didn't. It doesn't go. It doesn't fit their narrative on that end of it.
Well, if it's true, yeah. I heard the recording, but obviously you can never tell these days if something's added or altered. But by what I heard was the guy turned around and said, I got that white girl.
Yeah.
If that isn't racially motivated, believe me, if it was a white guy who did it, he wouldn't even have to say that he got the black girl. It would just be racially motivated.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
that's what I'm
without
saying.
word.
They'd have that plastered on the news for like weeks and weeks because it fits their narrative on that end of it. You know what I mean? But you know, since it wasn't, you know, it's I don't know, man. I mean, because I mean, even from the video and the audio from the video and stuff like that, you know, it sounded like the guy was like hearing voices in his head and stuff, you know, and because the girl didn't say anything, didn't even look into his, you know, whatever, you know, he was just like saying, "Oh, she said this or whatever, or what blah blah blah." I don't know. It's a freaky thing, man. You know, like I said, it's like all this public transport and stuff like that. You know, you know, on you know, I mean, you really can't even hear and you know carry a weapon and stuff like that. You can, you're not, yeah. I mean, even if you're like consider carrying a pistol or anything like that, you can't even do that on a public transport. You know.
No,
So I mean,
it's absolutely crazy how exact same crime, but these people we can label, but these people we can't label. There's a serious situation when you can't say, right, this person did with that motive and this person had exactly the same motive as that person. Call it for what it is. It's simple. And just say, right, this has all got to stop. You know, all this racial attack and what have you. Let's call it for what it actually is. No matter who it is being attacked. White, black, brown, Oriental, who cares? If you deem one thing as a racial attack and another thing which is identical
attack
as not being a racial attack.
You know, attack is an attack, isn't it? Doesn't matter. It's like, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like with this comment right there is like, you know, because I mean that's what I heard in the watching the video and listening to it. He said the voices in his head basically told him to do it. You know, but so that's the reason why I'm wondering. You know, I'd like to hear more about it. I'd like when they start bringing more information out on what happened over on the train. So I'm curious what was going on. You know what I mean, and all that stuff.
Did you see it, Anarchy? Did you see that? What happened to that girl? Did you see the video?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did as well. I wish I hadn't, though.
I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it.
No, I wish I hadn't seen it.
No, I haven't.
And what bothered me even more is that all the people just sitting around didn't do a damn thing about it. That's what really kind of bothered me mostly. You know, I mean,
they don't even look shocked, do they? Because some people saying, "Oh, they were shocked," but they didn't even look shocked.
No, they're too busy on their look. The problem is that when people jump on these public transports, is that they're too busy looking at their iPhones, their Androids, their fucking tablets and what have you to really notice what's going on within their surroundings. They're lost on their social media. Yeah, I know, but this is it. People are lost. You know, a lot of people use headphones now, those sort of things, which you're just immersed into that world. Whereas me and you, when we're in that situation, the phones are off.
They would have seen that she collapsed. And I know 2 people did go and help her. I didn't see that much. I saw.
I think more people noticed the blood on the floor first.
Well, no.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's
you know,
what it was to me.
it was, yeah, it kind of bothered me that nobody, I mean, nobody really did a whole lot of anything.
No,
Mm.
I mean, there was one guy after the fact, after the guy that, the black guy that stabbed the girl, after he walked up toward the front of the bus or whatever, there was somebody that, that, was trying to do something. But I mean, I don't know. It just kind of bothered me. It's like everybody was just basically in this helpless mode. I can't stand that, really, honestly.
yeah. But that's what I put it down to, is that people are so much into their devices now, and they just get lost in that social media, Facebook, Twitter, anything where they're going to be talking and taking notice of things is just primarily, and they wouldn't notice it if it was right there in front of their face what is going on.
No, she laughed, didn't she?
Right.
And I truly do believe that.
There wasn't, not being graphic.
But that's the thing too. It's like I'm curious about even like the train. It's like well, who else was on the train and in that area? It's like that was I mean, what that scene was, and because you think about what was that? The multiple people got stabbed. So I mean, people had to have known what was going on. So I don't know. It's just one of them things. It's like it's like it just seems like
Yeah,
and I don't want to get to the point where it becomes, oh, that's just like, that happens all the time, blah blah blah. I don't want to get to that point. You know what I mean? We should these these are people's lives and stuff. You know what I mean?
that's what I mean. That's why I said that's what you hear for these protests and what happens at schools. Like there's been school situations as well where people have gone into the school and it's caused lockdowns twice, I think, within only a space of a couple of months or something like that, allegedly.
Yeah.
I know. So when you got these younger parents turn around and saying that we're worried about our kids going to school, of what may happen, you're worried about your kids where the park is concerned, and some people are saying we don't allow our child basically out of our sight completely because of an outside threat, and also because certain individuals are put up in a hotel. That is fear, and that that means that people are living under terrorists, that under terror, which then can lead to you are being overrun. And it is coming to a point where if you are living in fear and living in terror, then there's only one thing for it, really, in my opinion. Not saying go out and fight and blow everything up, people, by the way, by my words. I'm not advocating for that.
What's up, Spunk? I seen you in there.
Hello, Tony. Hopefully you're well.
No, apparently 8 minutes between stations. I don't know.
8 minutes between stations.
Yeah,
right.
I really don't know.
No, it's travelling all the way from Doncaster, wasn't it? Somebody said.
It wasn't supposed to stop there. It was like an emergency stop.
Right. Yeah, I can't see.
Seem to be.
Can you see Tony on your phone in Wingnuts chat? I can't see him.
Yeah,
and I've definitely not got Tony blocked because he comes up in my chat and on my panel.
Yeah, I've got him here, but I don't know if that is him. We had a fake one in the other day.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yeah, we do believe that it was a fake one. So just be careful.
I don't know if
I really don't know.
Hello, Spunk Bishop, it is.
It is.
Hello, the Anki's chat.
Hello, Nude Guru, Independent Many, and anybody else that's here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
Go on.
well, no, I was just like I was gonna kind of go back to that when we were on that other stream earlier. That all the migrant or whatever you want to call it, the illegals or whatever, and that one guy in Uruguay, or what he claimed he was in Uruguay, and what he was talking about,
Yeah, I know you. Who was it? Dave was saying, "Are you trolling us?"
Could be.
It's a possibility. But I don't know. I think that the guy was getting irate in a way. Dub was being Dub. I've come across Dub a couple of times now. He makes me laugh. He doesn't shy away from giving his opinion, but I don't know. I like to see them both on the panel.
Well, I mean,
together.
because I'm just like, I'm definitely not of that. I mean, because what is it? It's the fight, flight, or freeze. All right, and that's really what it comes down to. Is like, but he was on that level of flight. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I start seeing all these illegals coming in and all this other stuff, and and like you got the Muslims and stuff trying to basically get a stronghold in some places here in America, for instance, and I've seen it over there too, and just because you don't like that, and it's like, you just move out and let them have it. And I'm like, well, no, I'm the type, I would rather fight for my land, you know what I mean, instead of just moving out and letting them have it, you know what I mean? I mean, hell, we got, like I said earlier, it's like, I gotta sit there and, basically, in a sense, fight our own government in a sense, and I'm willing to fight that. I'm not going to move because of that. Hell, my ancestors gave the two-finger salute to the king over there. That's the reason why we're here in America. You know what I mean? But that was because of a government. It wasn't because like some invading force or basically an occupation of some other, people from another country coming in and trying to force us out. And that's how I see it here. It's like, we got a big enough problem as it is with our own government, and not to mention these other, cultures, like a better word, coming in and trying to infiltrate and occupy.
I think that he admitted that he's got money, so the money side of things wasn't an option for him. I think when I said,
it's like, I'm sure he, like he said, he was from America and stuff like that, but the rest of his family's still here, evidently. You know what I mean? He just,
I don't know. I got the feeling that he hasn't got any family actually in America that he had to worry about leaving behind.
Oh, well, okay. I don't know. I'm just.
Because when I mentioned it, I turned around and said, if you've got a family and you got grandchildren, nieces, whatever, then, it's not that easy to say to your family, all of them, right, get your shit together, pack away what you need to, and let's ship off, and, only take your necessities, because that's basically what you're saying, is just to pack away your necessities and go over. You'd have to have money to be able to do that. You would have to have money.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it's like, and like you were saying earlier, it's like, well, even though you did that, who's to say in a short period of time it follows you where you went?
Oh yeah, it will. It will. Yeah. If the world carries on the way it is, if Europe goes the way how it is getting to that point, and if it is taken over, then yeah, his country, the country which he's decided to reside in, it'll come. You know, there's no escaping it. So you know, so you may have 10 years down the line. He's more likely still gonna be alive to face the problem when it'd reach him. If it carries on the way it is.
I just don't think there's anywhere to defect to. You know what I mean? I just don't think there is anywhere.
Of course not. You know, I know of a few people which have upped and left the country, and they do say that a lot of people are leaving the country. How many and how much of it is true? That's another thing. You know what I mean? But I do know of 2 people who have gone to. One person has gone to Poland, and another YouTuber, who is it? Mike West. He's moved to Hungary. So, yeah. So people, you know, they say that people are leaving in their droves. I'm not too sure about that, but I know of 2 people have actually packed up and gone. You know.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're cowards in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that's how I feel about, like, you know, these jerk offs, man, waving the Islamic flag or the Mexican flag here in the States and stuff. They all sit there and, you know, oh, America's crap and all that stuff, but they love our benefits. You know what I mean? And it's,
yeah.
you know.
Well, you know, we've got this problem in the UK where people have decided. To me, it's more people have decided, fuck it, we're going to let them know that, you know, we still wish to fly the flag. You know, it shouldn't make any difference if you want to fly the flag or if you don't.
Are you talking about the Union Jack? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, a lot of people are flying the English flag, the St. George's flag, because they live in England. So, and that's the flag for me is, you know, I'm an Englishman. So what flag would I fly first really is the St. George's Cross. You know, the UK flag, then yes. But to me, the most important flag is this cross.
Right.
You know, like the Welsh have their own flag. You know, they have the dragon. I don't find it offensive if all they've got up is the dragon, you know, the flag of Wales. Why should I be offended by that? It's their flag. It's like the Scottish flag. You know, I'm not offended by them if that's what they want to fly. But it seems that if an English person in England decides to fly the St. George's Cross, they really don't like it. They really, really don't like it, and that's worrying. And this is just the normal people, everyday people who live here, you know. And to me, that's really, really strange. Why should you be so offended by that? Unless you really hate this country, then if you hate this country, then fuck off. Simple as just fuck off. You're not for here then, are you?
Well, it's like that dude. I mean, you know, I mean, and I mean, you know, I was kind of being kind of harsh about it, but, you know, when we were saying that, you know, he's out there in Uruguay or whatever and all that stuff and everything goes to crap there, is he wanting to come back to the United States? And I was like, well, you know, from my opinion, well, you're not welcome back. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, what the hell do we want you here for if you're just going to be turn tail and fucking run when the times get tough? You know.
Well, that's why I turned around and said to him. So, in other words, you know, you're fleeing, but if everything gets sorted out, you know, and everything gets harmonious again in the country that you've left, what? Then you'll come back,
Right?
And yeah. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. That means that you're doing no differently to what you are complaining about.
Right.
Really,
Right.
nothing at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine for the people that that live in, if he's, like I said, allegedly he's in Uruguay, where the people of Uruguay are sitting there thinking about, seeing him coming in there, this fucking yank. You know what I mean? uh,
Well,
come on.
that's why I said to him, what you're expecting, say, quite a few million English people, Scottish, Irish, and Welsh people fleeing to Uruguay and cause havoc there. You really think about it, if that's what he is considering, how much chaos that would cause on that country. To go, right, we're off. Oh, Uruguay. Let's all pile into Uruguay. It doesn't work. That's the problem. Is that cultures is coming to a point where cultures. For us to go to somewhere like Uruguay, is everybody wanting to adapt? Is this problem which you have in your own country, you are going to cause a situation in that country? You just don't know how people are going to act, in the masses. I don't want to live in that sort of place, because it's what I am complaining about.
Right.
So
And then
so why would I?
Well, I mean, that was another thing too. I was sitting there thinking, it's like, what kind of drives me nuts is you got all these people coming from all these other different countries, complaining about, it's so bad in that country or whatever. But yet when they come here, they bring all that same crap that they tried to leave. They bring it here. Next thing you know, they try to, basically bring their country that they left here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, it's like that Sharia law. No, that should not that will not have any hold here in America. Screw that. That does not belong here. And as far as I'm concerned, they can keep that over there in the freaking desert, all that stuff.
I wish it was just in a desert, but yeah, Sharia law. We've got Sharia law courts, but they're not. They still have to go under the normal court of the land and what have you. But it is coming to a point where the government are bending over so hard on pushing that agenda that eventually they will go, yeah, all right, then, we'll have a Sharia courts, real Sharia courts. And then the next thing will be, fuck it, we're going to live under Sharia law. And that's worrying.
Yeah, no kidding.
There shouldn't even be a possibility. Not a possibility, but how you keep on hearing about this now, it is rather concerning. That will that get implemented at some point? I don't know. It just seems a bit alien, and it is alien.
It is basically because that's a whole different culture, basically occupying your area, your culture.
Yeah.
That it just infuriates me that, like I said, it's like, it's I try to talk to a lot of different people, and a lot of people is like, this is not just here in America, man. This kind of stuff is happening all kinds of different places. There's stuff going on in Australia. There's stuff going on in Canada. There's stuff going on in the UK and all over England, or all over the Europe and all that. It's just I don't know. It almost seems orchestrated, like it's supposed to, like it's trying to destroy everything.
Well, was it Poland are supposed to be given the EU? Was it a million euros? Was it a week or something? A week or a month every 4 weeks, because of their stance on the situation, what's going on in the whole of Europe. And the leader of Poland has said, I'd rather give you the fucking money than have to abide by the EU rules, laws, and what have you. And that, to me, that's a good stance. I'll just tell them to fuck off. That's just me, though. That's the English way. Just so I say, fuck off.
Well, I mean, and like like Indy and Poland were saying, and like the digital ID and all that stuff, how they're trying to roll that out over there in the UK, for instance. I mean, I can't remember his name, but I heard him say that you will not be able to get a job unless you have the digital ID, and they're trying to push that because all the illegals and blah, 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 that's their selling point.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there thinking, it's like, I mean, a lot of people, probably including me, will not comply with it. But I start thinking about our future generations and stuff, where they'll grow up like thinking this is just normal, and this is, you got to have this. This is the newest technology, and it's so convenient, and blah blah blah. It's just, man, it drives me nuts.
I don't know.
What are you going to do, Ron, if they force you? I mean, well, I don't know. I can't remember if you're working or not, but I mean, what are your kids going to do or whatever if they can't get a job unless they have it? It's like,
well, somebody on Dave's panel turned around and said that when it comes down to the younger generation, the generation which is growing now, to them it would be the norm.
Yeah.
To us, it's alien, and we see it as an intrusion on our rights. That they can actually pry that deeply into your personal affairs, to actually be, could go into your bank and cut your money. Be very, I don't know, you are being controlled, and you are having to bend to how you want to.
Well, live. Yeah, I mean, that brings up like the social credit score and the carbon credit score and all that other crap.
Well, it comes down to also, are you vaccinated?
Right. Yeah. Because that'll be part of the digital ID is your vaccination history and protocol and all that stuff. They'll have that. They'll have your medical, all your medical stuff when it comes down, like the vaccination, all that stuff. Your criminal history, your banking history, and all that stuff. All in play with the digital ID, and then if it goes down to the digital currency, then it's a click of a mouse and they can shut you down and they can shut up. It's like, what do? Next thing you know, you can't pay your bills and you're homeless because of it. Because I don't know, you had a low credit score or something. You know what I mean? Or social credit score or some crap, or you said something that they don't like on social network. And he shut you down and put you in jail or something,
Yeah. We knew that when the world was shut down, you had a lot of these ignorant businessmen who runs businesses, and they're saying, well, if you don't come in and wear a mask, or you don't have the vaccination, then that's your job.
Right.
Well, that means that you don't even have a voice to turn around and have an argument with your employer, to turn around and say, well, I haven't done it because of, and you may have very good reasons. Any reason is a good reason, but sort of stay with me. But so that means that you will have to bend for the employer, because he can just look and go, yep, you're not suitable for us then, are you? Because you're not willing to toe the line.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, then, like I was saying, also, I've said this before, it's like, well, it might come down to where we're going to have to start our own black market of jobs, or our own black market of groceries, where we can get groceries and stuff, I don't know. But like I said, I am concerned about the generations that are growing up right now. And if they, this rolls out, this will be the normal for them,
the digital ID, it won't bother the the ones that are in school, college, maybe even university, that they're not even look at what may happen when they want to get their own place and they want to have a family and what have you. And then it'll be a realization of they've got that much control over my life. And then it's
Yeah.
too late.
Well, I mean, they're
Yeah.
even doing this in China right now. Like the school kids, when they go to school, before they even enter the school, they got to do facial recognition and stuff. You know, um,
See,
and
over
I've seen stories of, like, in China, for instance, where they got the facial recognition just to get to their bank accounts and stuff like that, and the AI is making mistakes, and they aren't able to, because the facial recognition doesn't recognize their face, and so they are not even able to open up, get into their bank accounts and stuff. It's
Mhm.
you know
Yeah.
it's pretty messed up, because this is not like infallible technology. I mean, it makes mistakes. Like, they got these things, they call them flock cameras here. They're like automatic tag readers. They're popping up all over America. And there already has been cases where the little AI that is embedded into the flock cameras will make a mistake of reading the tag. Like, one number will be off. And next thing you know, cops are going up to people at gunpoint because they think it's a stolen car, or they committed a crime or whatever, and they're completely innocent, because they're taking the information from the flock cameras as gospel. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I mean, and there's even been a case that's been abused, because there was a sheriff. I can't remember what state or county it was in. I can't remember right offhand, but he was using it to track and basically stalk an ex-girlfriend of his. He used it just to keep tabs on her, where she was at, who she was with, that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
that was one way of being abused right there. Um, and this is just the beginnings of it. You know what I mean? Um,
See, when they turn around and say, "Oh, it's to identify any illegals that come into the country," and I think, well, hang on a minute. You are giving them a lot of them are born in on the first day of the first month. How are they giving them when they were born, when they haven't got any documentation? And this is what's actually going on. All the time they're finding out it's the first of the first. I can't remember what year, what they're putting on these illegal immigrants, but that's what's being said, is that, so many of them are their papers are being the first of the first. It's like, what? That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
Just fucking look. Digital ID, when they turn around and say it's because of this situation, well, no, that situation can be squashed pretty easily, and that is by saying, right, all of you, you've ditched your ID, you're going back. We only want people coming here which you can trace where they've come from, they've gone through the proper channels to actually get here. We know who they are, we can trace them, and there you go. You don't need digital ID for that, because you've already got all the information. So that's a no-brainer. You can.
But that doesn't stop there. They're doing it to everybody. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not just when they were sitting there saying what they claim, it was like, oh, just because of the illegals or whatever. Yeah, I mean, but now everybody, they're saying everybody's got to have it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that that's what they're pushing. It appears to be that is how they're pushing it, is using the illegal immigrant, the reason why they're doing it. Well, it's an easier solution. Instead of spending all that money on trying to force people on of digital ID, close your borders, send back everybody that you don't know who they are, where they come from, you don't know what they've done in their travel to get to your country, how many crimes they've committed, in other words, because I'm sure that there's cases out there eventually that may end up coming out saying that this person is wanted in this country, this country, this country, this country, before they even get to your country.
Yeah.
So fuck knows what they've done on their journey. How many
Exactly.
crimes that may have been committed by that one person.
Yeah, or even in their country where their origin, the origin of the country of origin, you know, they might be hiding or trying to escape from stuff that they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just think that anybody that sneaks in, and this is it is sneaking into a country because they found a loophole.
Yeah.
The do-gooders loophole. That's what I call them now, and do-gooders. This is all down to do-gooders' faults. Is that they believe that anybody can go anywhere and not do what the hell they like. But the problem is when you turn around and say that it doesn't matter, you shouldn't have to have paperwork to prove who you are and what have you. This is the outcome of thinking that way. It just does not work. There's too many. What was it? We was talking about the culture and what have you earlier on, and this is it. It's like if people don't understand the country. Look, I've got to say it plainly. There's no other way of saying this. Is that some of these countries have got some of the most strangest of cultures on earth, you know, and they aspire to live as an individual from 1600 years ago.
Yeah.
And when you've got a mindset like that, and you cannot rationally have a conversation with somebody and say, do you not think that people have got good reason to be wary of, because you haven't addressed it, your generations haven't addressed this issue at all, you're just blindly accepting it, that why should you come to a country where we will not accept that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, like I was saying earlier, also, it's like, you know, like for instance, Islam. I mean, you know, it says it in the Quran, basically to murder non-believers. You know what I mean? And those people are raising their children in that same scenario. You know, and you next thing you know, you'll have these kids growing up in your country, you know, with that belief in their mind. So they'll probably be the next suicide bomber. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it comes down to the fact that, right, what can you do? So many imams now, you can find them all on YouTube, people, and that where they turn around and say about the jizya. There's a free stage to the jizya, and that is pay tax, or well, convert, pay tax, or and that is their way. They're either going to tax you or you have to convert.
Right.
You know, 3 options, and that's what they say. You got 3 options. So we're not. It's in other words, they're passing it over to, well, if you choose not to do those 2 things, then it's your fault that we've deemed you to kill you.
Yeah.
And that's it, because we've given you 2 options. Because you're choosing neither of those 2 options, then it's your fault. It's that rational way. Is that a rational way to think? You know, fucking hell, that bloody book. It's so fucked up in so many places. You know what I mean? So fucked up.
I can think of some options. I was like, okay, you can be fed to the alligators, or, you know, we can cut your nuts off, or I can bury you in a damn hole with a dead pig. You know what I mean? I'll give you those options. If you don't want any of those, I mean, you know, it's all you. It's all on you, man. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the worst thing about it though is that you've more likely seen the same videos as what a lot of people have when it comes down to Speaker's Corner, and then you had the fun run. It tells you what they think of the females of their own religion.
I know.
You know, oh
and
well,
and that's what bothers me also. It's like, young women and stuff like that walking around in their own neighborhood, have to sit there and, and think about those people or any of those people with that type of mentality, you know, I mean, there is one fortunate thing here in America. I mean, we have a way of defending ourselves, when it comes down to, carrying a weapon on us. But I start thinking about you guys over there. It's like, and then even then, it's like, even here too. I mean, defending ourselves ends up being a big deal. It could be a fucking. I could be in a court case and something like that. I'd be charged, whatever, just for defending myself. And I start thinking about, you guys over there. It's like, well, shit. Well, what the hell are you going to do? How do you defend yourself even from the attacker and the courts? At the same time.
See,
I mean, you really know who's in charge when you can't talk about them. That kind of thing too.
Yeah. See, if we go just by the fun run that happened only a month ago, within October, wasn't it? Beginning of October, I think it was. And you've got a lot of men and kids, boys, males, doing this fun run, knowing the fact that their older sister, their cousins, their mum, their nan are not allowed to take part. Now, how can a young somebody's son go along with his mum's not able to take part, his sister is not allowed to take part, his grand is so that even the young are thinking that way already, thinking, well, I am better than you because I am male and you are female. There is a serious problem.
Yep.
And so you saying the younger generation, it is a generational problem, because if it wasn't a problem, then a lot of Muslims would have come out and said, hang on a minute, why can't my mum take part? It's a fun run. Why can't she take part? Why can't my sister, who's 13, take part?
Well, that's another thing too. I mean, I don't know. Now I don't know. This is like, I really don't know what to believe on that end of it also, because I saw a video and supposedly some Islamists that were just sitting there saying those are the radicals that are doing all that. It's not really, we're not really that violent. We're not all that It's all, we're peaceful and all this other shit. You know what I mean? But trying to play it off like, oh, same thing. I don't know.
No, that tells you everything, though, is that if you've got a fun run, which is more likely for a charity purpose, not to do with everybody, just a select amount of people, more likely for, and you hear that your mum cannot take part, then and you do not question that. And then, to me, that tells me everything that I need to know. That you are told your mother does not matter. She doesn't come into the equation,
right,
of our belief. And it means that, if any of you are listening out there, that means that you don't think highly of both parents. You only think highly of one parent, not both.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's like a modern day Crusades almost. I don't know.
Where that word is bandied around, it might end up being a new crusade. I don't know, but I've heard that one
Well, I mean,
already.
because I mean, it is like in some aspects, it's a, what was his name say? And it's like a war on white people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know.
Well, there was what was it now? Whitechapel, wasn't it? I forget the actual place, but it's in Whitechapel, and you had the Muslim. The funny side of it was the Muslims wanted to hold a demonstration, yeah, so they got all balaclavaed up to do this march, and there's loads of them. And it was to turn around and say that this is ours.
Right.
This is our plot of land, and you're going to find this in major cities. This is going to occur. If you think that this is just going to be isolated to one specific town, part of the city or whatever, once they've been allowed to do that, then it will spread. But what made it so humorous was that you had the lefties on the sideline, these whiteys and whatever you want to call them, and they were standing there going, "We're on the same side as you." And then one of them was honest, a Muslim who was balaclava, and he said, "We're not with you." And it's like, there you go. They will use you. They will use the gays, the trans, the ones that look down on down on other people. They look down on you.
Yep.
They do not want to associate with you. Yes, like you just turned around and said, they will use you for their own cause. They're not going to fight your cause. When I saw a guy went to Palestine and he put that question to the Palestinians, and he turned around and said, right, did you know that trans people and gay people are on your side and on the streets of different countries, but I think he specifically said UK, and they are calling out free Palestine, blah, blah, blah. Do you stand with them? Every single Palestinian that he spoke to said no.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you very much, but
yeah,
no.
I mean, seriously, you get those people, those gay and trans or whatever, you go to Palestine and try to sit there and say, yeah, we're on your side. No, yeah, they'll throw a rooftop party for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? They said thank you. Oh, that's nice to hear. Thank you very much. Yeah, but would you accept them? Would you fight for their gay rights, their trans rights? No. There you go. That's the message. But you try to tell these fucking dimbat fucking stupidity people, they just think that you're lying and that you know nothing. Oh, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi. Funny though, I saw one person who went up to young Bob and was saying, oh, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi. And there she was with a bloody German shirt on with the German flag on it. I thought, well, okay then. Are you sure you know what you're fucking arguing about?
No, they have
that
no idea
what you're relating to?
Yeah, they have no idea what they're wishing for.
No.
Or advocating for. They have no freaking clue.
Yeah. So it's just crazy how these people think that they can bandy these words round to put a label on somebody, whereas really all people are really worried about is where their children are concerned. The females are worried where they're concerned. And it's like, what was it now? When the guy was, while he was walking his dog, was brutally murdered, the very next day, these lefties were out there saying, you are welcome, you are welcome. It's like, what?
Yeah, the place.
Are you actually fucking crazy?
Yeah.
You know, couldn't you leave it a day? It's the same with what's that place called? Epping, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The day after the news come out of what happened to the young 14, I think she's 14 years old, and people went outside the hotel where the guy was living, and the lefties come out and started saying they are welcome. And I thought, couldn't you at least leave it for a fucking day? You know, this town is saying they don't care.
No.
They just do not care. They're so wrapped up in their own little bubble. They just do not know what's really going on. They just want to tear everything down, and
Yeah.
I don't know, give labels, and I don't know. It just seems alien.
I've been kind of paying attention to, was it Charlie Beach and also Tony Robinson and stuff like that. And paying attention and watching all that kind of stuff. It's like just recently, I think Tony Robinson was like, got confronted by some Islamist or whatever in a store or whatever, and he was sitting there basically threatening him and all. I mean, the Islamist was like sitting there threatening him and all that stuff. Tony was like, "Yeah, bring it on, do something, you know." And,
I know what you're on about. He was having breakfast, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But that's old.
Oh,
That
is it?
old. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know how old it was. I just saw it just recently, though. You know.
Yeah.
But,
People
like even was it Charlie Beach and stuff when he's going out there, all the baklava, whatever you say, whatever you put, fucking little shitheads, you know.
Yeah.
And what's up, Craig? You know, sitting there when he was sitting there just trying to record stuff, and then there's a few. Matter of fact, I mean, you know, I start thinking about it too because, like, even here in America, I mean, you know, I think there's somewhere I think it's in Wisconsin or something like that. There's so many Muslims and the Islamics or whatever that now, you know, that have moved into that area, you know, and they got a mosque, and they're sitting there, you know, they play that, you know, that prayer thing over loudspeakers 5 times a day, you know, and all that stuff. It's like, I don't understand why people even putting up with this stuff, man.
Well,
You know?
well, there's a mosque. I can't remember where it is, but it's a residential area, and people, and the mosque has got a loudspeaker, like you said, horn outside of it, and people have to listen to that thing
5 times a day.
all different times of the day. Yeah. And see how this happens is that I've known some streets where you have about 2 or 3 families move into that street, and what they do is that they create a shithole, leave rubbish out and what have you, and what that does is that brings the prices of the properties down. When it gets to a certain point, they've already got people to buy that property, and they just end up taking the street over because people are trying to get something for their property. And that's what's happening with these hotel places as well. The property prices are plummeting,
Right.
actually plummeting, because people do not want to move there.
And they're driving people out. I mean, you know, that's what kind of reminds me of that dude that was talking, like in Uruguay or whatever, you know. And but you know, if people would just stand strong and basically take their neighborhood and their area back instead of just moving out and leaving it to them, you know. Next thing you know, I mean, you know, it's like, okay, put it this way, you know, these Islamists that, you know, in the Arabian areas or whatever, or like that, like in Iran or whatever, they do not sit out in the middle of the street sitting there praying and stuff like that. They don't do that there. They do that here in our countries because they're trying to assert dominance. You know what I mean? And drive everybody out so they can take over, basically.
I've got to give them credit. You know, that if you're going to do it, that's the way you're going to do it, is
Well,
to drive.
it's worse for many. That's worked in other countries, so they were like, well, why not keep that same tactic up?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and when your government doesn't acknowledge, they know it's going on. You know, I mean, people my age and what have you have seen it happen to streets where it's like you got a couple of families moved in, create chaos in one way or another. People who live nearby go, oh, I think I'm going to sell up because of this, that, the rest of it. And then the next ones who think that they're going to stick around and they're going to weather it out and think, oh, you know, they're just moving in, you know, blah, blah, blah. They're going to settle in soon. And when they realize what's happening, they're not going to get the price of what the house was supposed to be. It's plummeted. And then you're sort of like, oh, well, got to take what I've got, what I'm getting offered and be done with it. But then you go back, if you go back and you look who's moved into your house, then reality hits, right? So that's what was going on.
I saw a video. I can't remember where it was. But it was some university somewhere where the students were actually, in a sense, fighting back. But the way they were doing it is they were putting slices of bacon in all the Qurans and all that other stuff, and basically kind of pushing them out, you know, because they're so against pork. You know what I mean? They're, you know, so, you know, just spread bacon everywhere and that'll run them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I mean, that was their one way of doing it, you know, but I thought it was
Well,
kind of funny.
the first thing anybody can do, I had this sort of disagreement with somebody on my panel. No, it's on that person's panel. And I turned around and said, well, the first thing you can do if you really believe in what you're talking about is stop buying halal food, because the mosque, the community get 30% themselves. So the food is taxed by the government, but also taxed because of the religious side of it.
Right.
So they're taking 30% of what they sell as halal. So they're going to prosper. You know, the bigger mosques can be be made. They can buy up whatever they want because it's funded into, it's filtered into. So you want to look at your food, people. If what you believe in, look at your food. If it's halal, I think it's 30% of the proceeds goes to the community of that particular community. Not to everybody, to that particular community.
Yeah.
And the guy said, oh, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, you're not really, that's just a small step you could take, you know, just to say, right, I'm not going to fund a particular people of a society. You know, surely it should go to everybody, but it doesn't. It stays to the people that believe in that. So I stopped buying halal. I make sure, don't we, that we're not buying halal.
Well, I mean, okay, there's another thing too. I was just sitting there thinking it was like on a different level, but I started thinking about, for some reason, you talking about products and stuff. I don't know if you guys are seeing it now over there. I don't know. I haven't seen it here yet, but I've been seeing reports of it over in Europe. Like certain products are now putting their carbon credit score on the products of like where these products are actually, you know, produced and all that stuff, and they got a little sticker or whatever on the product, on the packaging, saying, you know, what the carbon credit or the carbon score is on from this product or whatever. You know, it's just, another thing on the carbon credit scores and all that stuff. I don't know if you guys are seeing it over there yet or not, but
No, I haven't noticed it. No,
yeah.
It doesn't mean that it ain't happening. Doesn't
Right.
mean it ain't happening, but I haven't noticed that one.
Yeah. It's something I was
I've
just
not
thinking
come
about.
across people that are talking about it. Put it that way. I haven't come across anybody that's talking about
Right,
it.
right.
So
But yeah, but I mean, it's just another scenario I was sitting there thinking about when you were talking about, but on a different level.
mhm.
But
Yeah, I
and
just think
then on top of that, I mean, it's like on the Islamic thing. I also think about the dang Israelis and all that stuff, how they're influencing our government over here. Bibi Nosferatu is fucking, um, influencing, because I mean, I know that Israel is not an ally of the American people, and to give so much credence to this guy, you know, um, it's just another aspect of problem reaction solution scenario.
I've asked so many people this question, and not one person has been able to answer it to me. And that is that if you believe that the Jewish community have so much influence on how the country is going to be, then what is their benefit from changing your country into an Islamic country? Because that's not benefiting them, because it just means another country is against you.
Right. Well, I mean,
So,
even then, it's like, but the thing is also, it's like, I mean, it's not really the Jewish, it's really the Zionist. You know what I mean? There's a difference between like a Hasidic Jew and a regular Jew. There's a big difference. And the Zionists and stuff like that is really, I think, is the problem.
but what benefit can they get out of it, since it's because that is the call which if you get into a heated discussion, I've seen it so many times on news channels, you got so many clips out there, it's unbelievable, of where they turn around and use the word Zionist. So I
Right.
think, right, so you're all against Zionism, but where do they benefit from it when they're completely surrounded? If Europe fell and it turned into Islamic countries, then what benefit? And this is what nobody's been able to answer me, is that what benefit would they gain from being Zionist or not? What benefit would they gain when they know that all Arab nations, and that also mean all Islamic nations, are gunning for you?
Right. Well,
That's what I don't understand.
I mean, I'm not sure exactly, but I mean, the first thing that pops in my mind, I mean, um, they're using our government as like the military force. Hell, we put so much money out of our tax dollars over there and weapons and stuff like that. They wouldn't be able to do anything about what they're doing over there if it wasn't for our for the United States government's help. It's not the American people. It's really the United States government.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know,
That's why really
that's
we
what
should.
drives people to say, "Oh, it's America." No, it's the American government. The government of America that's doing all this stuff. With or without our consent, they're just doing it. It's and doing it in our name. You know, so basically making enemies or whatever around the world in our name. You know what I mean? I mean, even the wars that we've done over the past 100 years or more, it was done in our name, but a lot of it was done over stupid ass lies or over money, because I mean, all these wars are bankers' wars anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's over money. It's like I said, it was like I was saying earlier, it's almost like a real life Game of Thrones in a way. You know what I mean? They're all just, clamoring for control. And it brings me back down. It's like when we were talking about that big space rock, the I3 Atlas thing. For all I know, it could be a big psyop. Claiming it's an alien craft, and they were going like, well, we need to gain and get all the countries together and unite in this new world order to fight this alien thing. You know what I mean?
See, I looked into the UK's education system, especially the college and the university system, yeah. And I thought, where is the money? Where is a good bulk of money coming from funding colleges and universities? It's more likely in the normal everyday school system as well. It's coming from Saudi Arabia. It's coming from Qatar. It's coming from quite a few different Islamic countries, which are now funding, which would then tell you that if you go by the Islamic rule and their belief system and what have you, that would cause chaos. And are they reprogramming? Because that's another thing that I come across, is that they're always coming out with, oh, well, the UK owes because of what they did in the past. That sort of mentality is what I'm coming across as well, very regularly. So if these kids are having that shoved down their throat because there's outside influences, i.e. money from a certain particular people in the world, and do you know how much wealth there is within the Islamic world combined? 36 trillion. Now, what has all these Islamic countries got in common?
Oil? I don't know. Go ahead.
Belief system.
Right. Well, okay. You're right.
Yeah. So I turn around and say is that I get what everybody was saying when they turn around and said, "Oh, Jewish businessmen, BlackRock, and all this." We had them conversations, but to me, I believe that there's a new beast on the block, and people need to start realizing that if you look at how your country is going and what you're hearing on the streets and what you're hearing on YouTube and everything, that would all tie in that there is definitely a new beast on the block, and this one's going to be harder to fight, to get away from.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't realize, but then when you look a little bit deeper and when you look at the amount of wealth there is within these 51 countries, that's what you're up against. We're just one country.
Yeah. No kidding.
You're up against a lot.
I mean, I think that was probably what's his name's argument also, when it comes down to him moving to Uruguay, because he's like, well, it's just we got this massive thing coming against us. It's like, how do you fight that? It's like his only option was to run. And but like I said, it's like but even then, like you were saying earlier, I was like, well, eventually it'll get to you anyway, no matter where you go. I mean, because honestly, there's really nowhere to go on this fucking planet anymore. You know what I mean? If America was to fall, there's nowhere for us to defect to. You know what I'm saying? There's nowhere for us to go. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and go to fucking Antarctica. I'm not gonna go to Antarctica. Fuck that. You know what I mean? So, because I'm not gonna live on a damn iceberg somewhere. Just get away from it all. Fuck all that.
Well, I'm not including you in this wing nut at all, because you're more, you will take on different things and different ideas and possibilities and what have you. But I come across some people which, as soon as one of the hotels in Canary Wharf, and it's a Britannia, isn't it, hotel, and the person was jumped on it like a fly on shit. Oh, it's a Jewish company. So I thought, okay, and it's Jewish businessman that runs it, yeah. but he made it as, you know, if you say Jewish, that means all Jews sort of attitude. And so I looked into other chains of different hotel chains. One 75% shareholder is a Syrian. Another one, the person, the top man who runs the whole show, not an owner, but who runs the whole show, is Syrian. You know, I thought, well, hang on a minute, you know, you're just blaming one section of people within the world that has dealings within this hotel bullshit that's going on. What about the other ones? You know, there's one which is owned by, I think it's two brothers who are European. You got another two chains, which is actually a French, because that's what I put now, the French connection. They own and run this hotel, this chain of hotels within the UK. But it's always, as soon as something happens and they Google it and they go, oh, it's Jewish. Now I can call out and turn around and say, oh, it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. But they don't go any further and say, oh, well, this one's Syrian. You know, this one's Syrian. Oh, this one's, you get my drift.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes me wonder while you were sitting there talking.
Quite fairly.
Yeah, well, it makes me wonder while you're sitting there talking. It's like all these hotels and stuff that they're bringing all these illegals in. I mean, who's owning these motels or these hotels or whatever? And they're getting paid to put these people up.
Yeah.
You know, and the taxpayers are paying that through the, you know, and the government's stealing our tax dollars to pay that. You know what I mean? You know, it makes me wonder who's actually, you know, where these people are. They actually, you know, Brits that own these things or you know, whatever. I don't know for sure.
Well, you have got the isolated people who are not part of a chain, and they've got B&Bs and things like that, and they've sold out for it as well. Like you've got an Irish brothers with one place, or was it a chain of places? Because there's places that I didn't even know that there was chains of hotel, because I've never heard of them. But obviously, Sky City Hotels or something like that.
Okay.
That there's a chain, and I think that one of them is isolated around the Heathrow near the airports and what have you. And that, I do believe, is either the two brothers or it's the Syrian major shareholder of those chain of hotels. But this is it. Yeah, you got people from different backgrounds which are doing it, but the ones which I find maybe of a maybe English or Scottish, Irish, whatever, are mainly just people that have brought a company, built themselves up to be running a B&B or hotel, small, but even they've sold out and decided to, because there's certain hoteliers which have come forward, which is a family business, and they've refused. They said, no, I'm not going to sell myself out. So you know, there are some, so that tells you that there are small English-born family companies which have also done it. Yeah. So
Yeah. Because I mean, you know, I can't remember the guy's name right offhand, but he's a YouTuber that has been, like, here in the States, have been following, you know, a lot of these things. These people that are getting shipped in and moved around the country and stuff like that. You know, he's been kind of like tracking them, basically following where they go and all this other stuff, and you know, and trying to get some, you know, some good footage of it. You know, it's like these people are, you know, are tight-lipped. You know, they won't say anything. You know, they try to hide their face and all this other stuff. You know, it's like, well, you know, I mean, you know, there's that old saying: "If you're not doing anything wrong, what do you got to hide?" kind of thing. You know, that. So
yeah,
I mean,
the security. You know, why would a security guard? Myself personally, I couldn't do it. because I haven't got the right attitude to go to one of these hotels and be confronted by some no-mark who won't show his badge. To me, you're a member of the public. Don't stop me from going anywhere where, you know, what authority do you have if you're not willing to show that you have got any authority over me or the property at all because you're not willing to show it, then you're just a member of the public. Get out of my fucking way. I'd be arrested all the time, you know what I mean? Because that is my attitude. I couldn't do it. I'll just pile through and say, you're just obstructing me and you're a member of the public. You've got no authority to tell me unless you turn that fucker around, and then I can see the face of that, check the date and look at your face to make sure it's you.
Right.
But that's just the way how we are, isn't it? We wouldn't stand there. We haven't got the right temperament for it. we're too old to fucking change our ways. I just can't. You know what I mean? I can't stand authority as it is, let alone some little tin pot fucking person standing at the door who's not willing to show who they are.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
I'll be
and I've been watching this stuff too. I mean, you know, because I mean, there's quite a few people over there in the UK. It's like, you know, they've been doing live streams and stuff, watching these hotels and stuff, you know, and you know, was it? I saw BBA out there. Was it a few weeks ago or something like that? You know, there was a couple others. Man, I've been watching this stuff too, but just kind of keeping up with it. Because I mean, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot, and it's very, I don't know. We've turned to Splosh, haven't we? UK Splosh, and what's the Matrix guy? What's his name? I don't know. Magic Matrix, is it, or something? Mystic Media. That's it.
Oh,
Matrix.
yeah.
Mystic Media. Obviously, I like Resistance GB, but he's been doing it for a long time. But really, he come to the forefront during the lockdowns and what have you. So he's been doing it for years. But there are a few others. There's two which we tune in mainly because they're nutters, and they're out there.
If you want to just
But we're talking about people like Charlie Veach, DJE, and a few others. Then you got Cozzy, and you got Knockouts Audits, the people which are going to towns and cities to show the shit that's going on within these places.
It's like, you know, even like when Charlie Veach, you know, like there's some of the areas that he goes in, it's like all these Nigerians and stuff like that. That, you know, him walking around with a camera, they're trying to, you know, basically assault him. You know, I mean, you know, just for, you know, because they don't want to be on camera and all this other stuff, you know, or there was a couple others. There was another guy too. I can't remember his name right offhand, but there was the same kind of thing, just walking around certain areas, and you got all these Nigerians actually picking up rocks and stuff, trying to throw at them and stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Oh, that was DJE, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been.
He was with Fred, and somebody picked up a rock and threw it at him. Yeah, and that's when he had Fred with him. See, I get it in a way when people turn around and say, "Oh, you shouldn't put a camera," because I particularly wouldn't want to be filmed, but I would keep my head down and just walk straight past. And just not
there's so many cameras around as it is anyway. You know what I mean? You're on camera all the time anyway.
Yeah.
You know.
But it shows that you've got people which are so easily triggered that they will turn to violence, and they show that people just standing on the street taking crack in front of everybody, they do not give a shit. And then you got the beggars, which ain't homeless. You know, you got so many different elements. Is what they're highlighting. They're highlighting that the police haven't got control, the councils haven't got control, the MPs haven't got control. You've got these crackheads, these people who you don't know who they are because they haven't kept their documentation, all hanging around in, like they call it, Crack Piccadilly, whatever it is in Manchester. And you got a play group, a kids' play area right beside all the alcoholics, all the drug takers, all the drug dealing. There's fights, you know what I mean? People going around trying to kill each other, and it's right next to a school. Not right next to a school, right next to the playground. And then you got people complaining about them, showing it. They come out with, oh, they're racist, they're antagonizers, they're this, they're that. And I think, no, they're highlighting how easily, at the same time, how people can be triggered and turn to a maniac within the blink of an eye.
Yep.
That's what they're showing. But obviously, people with an agenda, that they're not going to acknowledge that. They just want to call them names, not address the issue of what they're highlighting. But that's, you know, it's stupid.
Those are the useful idiots, man. You know, they have no idea what they're doing in the first place. It's almost like a white knight scenario. You know what I mean? And and that's the problem too, because I mean, you know, even when all these, you know, if you look through history, you know, all this stuff like Mao and was it Stalin and stuff like that, all the people that got those people in power, once their usefulness was over with, they were the first ones killed. You know what I mean? You know, because they were in power, so they didn't need him anymore. All those useful idiots that got him in power. You know, I mean, that's the same thing I think about now. It's like, you know, all these useful idiots that are basically throwing this white knight type of scenario out. You know, once their usefulness is over with, boom. You know, and they get those commies or whatever in power. Next thing you know, they'll be the first ones out. You know, but they don't understand that. A lot of these people don't understand that. You know, or they don't know history, or they're too ignorant to even realize history or learn from history. And you know, it's the same thing, all these different occupations through history and stuff like that in different countries and stuff. I mean, if you don't learn from that, it'll happen. It'll repeat itself. That's one of the reasons why even in schools and the university or anything like that, they don't really teach history that much, because they want the history to repeat itself. You know, and that's the same thing that happened here in the universities here, you know, the colleges and stuff like that. You got these damn, professors that are pushing this communist type of a socialist type of, idea and mentality into the students and stuff like that. And these students are, you know, not even old enough to really have any kind of life experience at all. You know what I mean? So they don't know any better. They don't know what real history, all this other stuff. So they're sitting there advocating for this stuff. I see these people that are in their 20s wearing a damn communist looking sickle and hammer T-shirts and stuff. I'm like, you have no idea what you're advocating for, you know? You know.
See, I don't know if it's going the same way in America. You'll be able to fill us in on that. But
I'll try my best.
What it seems to be, from a very young age, is they're taught history, not of English history, which is a very long history. It's like the Americans, if they want to study history of America, that they will go to history of England, because history of the Dutch and what have you, because this is who they are. They come from different European countries and went to. So your history actually ties into the English history, the French history. You know what I mean? So, but we are being told. It seems like the kids now are being basically said, don't study your history because it's evil. So they're completely rewriting history. That's it, isn't it? They're rewriting history.
Well,
Weird.
what is that old saying? It's like the history is written by the victors. You know.
Yeah, yeah. And the only problem is that at the moment they are winning.
I know, and I mean, you know, in a way, it's like, I mean, we outnumber these people, Ron. You know, these 17 families that want to be the masters of the freaking universe on this, but you know, we outnumber them. But we're out organized because they're pretty freaking organized. You know,
Of course. There, you know, like I'm sure you've heard about this. I don't know enough about it, but the Labour government in 1883, was it, people? Somebody maybe here that can remind me that they've made a secret organisation, which is, I don't know how secret it is, it's just that now it's come to the forefront with people, and it's called the Fabian Society, and it was based on a secret sect to do with the Labour Party, and that's what they're going by. Yeah,
so that was that whole thing earlier on that other stream we were on about the Labor Party. That one guy that came up. I don't know if you were around at the time. You might have went and had somebody at the door at the time. That's when you were. But there was a guy that came up, you know, and sitting there talking to Dave, and he was sitting there talking about voting and stuff. And you remember what I'm talking about? He's talking about voting.
I did hear that. I did hear that, but I didn't get to speak to him because because
basically Dave booted him off, basically. But
the guy didn't know how to handle a debate.
Right.
You know, sometimes it could be heated. You might be the person who turns around and says something that instead of giving an answer, it's created more questions to ask. So I got that, and he's still playing that game. That's what got me out of it. Sorry, Wingnut, but that's what got me. He's still playing the game because he's still watching mainstream. He still vibes to it all.
He still pays his TV.
Tax. Exactly. He's still playing the game, and it's like, hang on a minute. And so I could get where everybody was saying to him, "You are contradictory." Because you're still playing their game. Don't you realize it? While you're still tuning into all this shit, but then you jump up because you've heard some other stuff, what people are talking about on YouTube or whatever social media platform he goes to, but he did mention YouTube.
Yeah.
But you're still playing the system's game because you are still subscribed to that bullshit.
Well, I mean, I was kind of relating it to, like, for instance, here in America, for instance, you know, you got people that have been voting Democrat all their lives. Their parents have been doing it all their lives, you know, that kind of thing, and they know that the Democratic Party is really turning into this communist socialist type of party. But you still vote Democrat. You know, it's like, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? You know, and I understand it. I'm not advocating or for it, but I understand what's going on. You know, like I said, it's like, you know, because you know, that's what they've done it for, you know, a couple of generations. And this is what they do, and da 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 da. But you're still perpetuating the whole system to keep on going. You know, even just by voting it in. You know, like I said, I'm, you know, and I'm one of those rare people here in America that's never voted in my entire life, you know, because I will not participate in a crooked and corrupt system at all. I don't want to participate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why even give my consent to any of that shit? Because when you vote, and people, and you know, might not like me for saying this, but when you vote, you are giving your written consent for a ruler to rule over you and everyone else. It doesn't matter who gets the fucking job, Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. We're still heading straight for Agenda 2030. All right? You know what I mean? I mean, we're still heading straight toward that shit.
See, for me, the only workable solution to put on the political side of it is never ever have a career politician, So all you
Right.
can do is, America has got it pretty sussed. You can only do 2 terms, and that's it. Then you have to find somebody else. But I would go one step further. When you make a party, all the people like to do with, I'm talking about England here, the NHS, it has to be somebody who's actually done in that field. They know what they're talking about. Somebody to do with the police, the law system, they have to be part of the law system. But they're only allowed to serve 4 years. That's it. Then you're out. And then it's a new bunch of people, because I find that it's career politicians which fuck it all up constantly. Repeat. You're never going to get anybody that actually is a free thinker when they're a career politician. It just doesn't work.
Well, I
Just
agree.
does not work.
I mean, and not only that, I mean, honestly, man, we don't really have a choice. I mean,
Yeah.
because quite honestly, the choices are provided to us. You don't really get a choice. You know, you don't. You know, I mean, it's not like you can. You know, there might be somebody that lives where where I live or whatever. You know that I think would be the a perfect leader. They might not want to be that leader, but they'll be perfect for that. You know, for that
Mhm.
spot. But I don't get a choice to put them in that position. You know what I mean? Because all
Yeah.
the choices are provided to us. And all of
Yeah.
them, you know, and that's another thing too. When it comes to these politicians, you know, they get a salary, all right, you know, but they end up becoming billionaires because a lot of times insider trading and all this other shit. They make the rules and the laws and the statutes and stuff like that benefit them. You know what I mean? And they become, you know, like I said, you know, these people, you know, it's um, you know, the only way to become a billionaire as a politician is being a crook.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well,
And
it's it's they're thinking of themselves now. If a person was only allowed to serve the whole of the cabinet, whoever you voted in for, they can only serve it for 4 years, and then that's it. You're out. You're out of politics. You don't gain any benefit after that from being in politics. They're going to get it right because it's going to affect them once they have to leave of governing in any way. They will be thinking completely differently because they'll be thinking, oh, if I don't get this right, then I'm going to be one of the people who are going to be, I don't know, financially not really sound. My house, my this, my that.
right.
Because they're going to have to think in 4 years, I'm going to be a normal Joe. So I have to get this right. The other thing is, I just replied to Algo because said about the monarchy. Right. Powers of the monarchy, yeah, is King Charles can only dissolve Parliament. He can't do no more than that. The Copper turned around and said that he signed up to the king, and that's why they have the crown, but it's run by Parliament. So I don't think the king can really get involved with that side of
Well,
things.
doesn't anything that goes through Parliament has to be basically signed off by the king, doesn't it not?
It doesn't seem that way. It seems that where it goes to is the House of Lords. They
Okay.
have
Well,
to
see, I
get
mean, you
the
know,
House of Lords approval.
so
But yeah, the
so
king
what
is
is
just a
it?
figurehead.
Yeah, it's just a figurehead. It's like just a, you know, what is it?
Nothing.
It's all ceremony
Yeah.
and you know, I don't know, man. It's all theater, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just another way how to screw the public.
Well, I
Because
mean,
we have
but it
them.
was it I can't remember what it was. It was a few years back where they I think the Queen was still alive, I think, and they threw her a birthday party or something like that. And I started looking at this huge cake and this whole ceremony and stuff like that. It's like, yep, this is what the taxpayers just paid for. How do you guys feel about that shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, your tax dollars paid for that huge birthday party for the Queen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I
Well,
mean,
well,
you know, the funeral and stuff like that. All that came out of the taxpayers' pocket. you
Yeah.
know.
So yeah, that's okay. Then you take care. I'll go. Yeah, but the king doesn't have really any say what goes on in the United Kingdom. They're just figureheads. It's for the tourist trade. Although my advice is to any tourists which may be living, which may be thinking in come to the UK, I'd say don't, because you'll come across people with knives, all sorts of fucking things. You're not safe. You're not safe. You might
Well,
want to
you
go.
got to understand, we Americans are built different over here. You know what I'm saying? We're built different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
You know.
you have people just want to throw acid into people's faces. It's absolutely crazy. If
Well,
you want to go to the rural areas, yeah, then you'll more likely be safe. But if you want to go to any of the cities, make sure that you got eyes in the back of your head.
Well, I mean, there's cities, we got Antifa in these damn cities like Portland and all this other stuff, man, going
Mhm.
crazy and stuff because, protests against ICE and stuff, all the deporting, ICE deporting people and stuff. It depends on where you're at, really. I mean, all this Antifa crap, man, won't happen down here in Florida because if they try that kind of crap down here, they'll find themselves as a damn speed bump or thrown to the alligators. That's how, that's how, they try that shit in like shit towns like Portland and stuff like that, or California. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've heard some stuff going on, and he had to put the National Guard. Is it? But I haven't followed it because we've got enough
Like
shit going on in this
500,
country.
50 cities or something like that, or 500. I don't know. It's a shitload of cities around the nation. But I think that's also probably part of the what do you call it? Like I don't know. It's part of the infrastructure, for something that they have planned. I said, because quite honestly, I think the powers that should not be, they want to start a civil war. They want that. They want that chaos to happen because if that chaos starts happening, then they can usher in their order out of that chaos. So I
Mm.
mean, this is part of the stuff, the infrastructure setting aside to preparing for all that stuff. I think that's what's happening, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
it would.
because I mean, honestly, it's like I think that was one of the things that is possibly uh, was part of the plan for like even Charlie Kirk getting murdered and stuff like that was
Yeah.
to try and radicalize the conservative side into violence. Just because if they can get the conservative side to be violent with the left, then that would create this like civil war scenario, and then they can step in with all these damn militaristic type of tactics, and basically usher in like martial law nationwide, blah blah blah. It just didn't happen the way exactly what I guess they were planning, because I mean we didn't go out rioting and stuff and burning down cities like they did with George Floyd. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But
See, did you believe then that if it come to a point where there was a complete uprising and they did call in the armed forces, that the armed forces, they could actually bank on every single soldier to be thinking in the left way of thinking? I don't think that. I think that it'll be a problem on top of a problem.
Well, I honestly, in some ways, I think they'll do exactly what they're told, because this is their paychecks. You know what I mean? Think about it. These people. They got to make money somehow anyway, so they'll do exactly what they're freaking told.
I don't think so. I really.
Honestly, I've talked to military guys that are active duty and out of the military and stuff like that. And when it comes down to it, they're in a lot of agreement too. It's like if the government decided to use our military or anything like that against American people on American soil, um, especially the grunts, the ones that just signed up to the military, they'll do exactly what they're told. It doesn't matter. If it was like go into your neighborhood where your parents live and started doing like a relocation and weapon compensation, they'll do exactly what they're told. You know what I mean? Because you got to think about it. Disobeying an order would be it'd be a criminal act in the military scenario, and then on top of that, that's their paycheck. So they're thinking about their paycheck and their freedom if they disobeyed an order. So they'll do exactly what they're fucking told, man.
I don't know. I think that with the amount of that they know, well, I can only speak for, I don't know how veterans get treated over in America, but over here, they get discarded. A lot have been discarded.
Well, yeah. We got homeless veterans on this fucking over here. Exactly. And it's like, it seems like, I know there's people that care, but it seems like the government itself doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? You got the VA hospitals and stuff. They give them all kinds of problems and stuff. I know people that have problems getting help through the VA, and it's like, they just discarded. It's like, well, you did what we wanted you to do, and then but that's all there is to it. You know what I mean? It's a big problem, really. I mean, think about it. Like I said earlier, I mean, on the other stream, it's like, we get so much of our wealth, the American people's wealth, taken from us in the form of taxes and doled out to every fucking country around the world, even the ones that don't even like us. All right. And there's not one country around the world, not one, that taxes the crap out of their citizens to give American people money. You know what I mean? Not one does that. But yet our wealth gets fucking passed out to everybody. You know what I mean? And that's what drives me nuts. And then all that, you think about how much money that goes to fucking the Ukraine or Israel or any of these other fucking stupid shit. Now we're thinking about going boots on the ground and fucking was it Venezuela?
Venezuela, yeah, I saw something on that.
I mean, that's just another place where a lot of our guys and girls are going to start dying if they go boots on the ground down there. Was it Gypsy wanted to ask you something? Hold on. Can you ask Ron on band from his channel yet?
I don't know who you are.
Gypsy Auditor.
Oh, Gypsy Auditor. No, because you tried to imply that I was something.
Okay.
Because I accidentally, sleight of tongue, but I corrected myself in mid-flow because I said Gyppo instead of Gypsy. He says, oh, you're discriminating. Oh, you're racist. You're that. I thought, fuck it. You're gone. If you're going to pick me up because I turned around and said Gyppo, but I corrected it as soon as I said it, and you're jumping on me for that. I don't need that shit. I don't want a lefty on my panel that gets all irate over a fucking word. Gone. Simple. I can't handle shit like that.
So was it?
I mean, fucking hell.
He said, Ron, I forgive you.
Yeah. It's an headache that I can do without. So,
right on.
That shit.
Yeah, and Polar is like, there's like, even Russian forces I haven't really heard this myself, but Russian forces are planted in Venezuela. You know what I mean? I start thinking about it. It's like, God damn it, man. It's like, why does this fucking government of ours keep on wanting to get in all these fucking conflicts around the goddamn world that had nothing to do with us? You know what I mean? And, but it's also, and I'm sitting there thinking about it, it's also part of the plan, because the powers that should not be, they want to kill off 90% of the population of the planet. And war is one of the best ways to start killing a shitload of people off. You know what I mean? And
oh yeah. Well, war has always been a good
and it's profitable. It's very profitable too.
Yeah, cut down the population.
Yeah, and there's a lot of profit in war too. So I mean, but It's just like, it drives me nuts. It's like, we shouldn't even be involved in all that shit. You know, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, man, you know, NATO and the EU are what's created all that crap up in the Ukraine and fucking and all this other shit. You know, it's like, oh, why do we got to get involved with fucking Israel and all that other crap? Now they're talking about Iran, and then they're talking about fucking Venezuela. It's like, goddamn, it's like, what the fuck? Why do we got to get involved with all this shit around the goddamn planet? It's none of our fucking business. It's none of, you know, God.
Well, when it comes down to what's happening in the Middle East to do with Israel and the Palestinian thing, and that is that they made a deal, and as soon as they made a deal, I did a post and I turned around and said, let's see how long this lasts.
Right.
If you go by history, it tells you that Hamas will not stick by it, and within 24 hours, obviously, then it was like, no, they had to go against everything which they agreed on. So it's still going because it's an ideology thing, you know what I mean? So it's never gonna, it's always going to be the same in that region. It doesn't matter if you get involved or don't get involved. It's more worthwhile just to let it all play out. Let it just go its course, and finally they'll come to some sort of agreement on their own, not anybody else involved in that. But I did hear that, if it's correct, that Trump has finally maybe doing something to what's been going on for years, the real ethnic cleansing and genocide which is going on within Africa itself.
They're killing all the Christians.
Yeah, is in Nigeria, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's somebody, because all governments have known it for a very long time, the genocide and ethnic cleansing, which has been going on within that region. And he has actually turned around and said, right, we are thinking on, because the Christians are being slaughtered on a daily basis, you know. And it's finally, I think, a few. I'm not saying that the Americans should put troops on the ground. I think that it's the United Nations, since that's what they're paid for, should have gone in there a long time ago and said, right, enough is enough. If they don't do it, then obviously some country has to step in and turn around and say to the rulers, either you deal with it, or we're going to have to put a protection force in there, because it's still going on after fuck knows how many years. So, and that's all over religion. If you're a Christian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've said this before. It's like, when it comes down to it, man, it's like, was it political and corporate and religious dogma is what is killing life on this planet.
Yep.
You know,
yep.
It's been happening for centuries, man, centuries.
Yeah.
You know, in one way or another, you know, it seems like all the governments itself, all governments around the world, seems like they are the aggressors and the problem. It's, you know, but it's putting all of us common folk right in the crosshairs, right in the middle of it all. I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, all these leaders around the goddamn world, if they got problems, let's go put them in a fucking cage and let them fight it out to the death. And then that'll be the end of it. Leave us out of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of shit. Because I mean, no, we just want to fucking live our lives. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I just want to be able to live my life. I just want to be able to sit there and, you know, mess with my dogs and, you know, tend to my garden. You know what I mean? Fuck it. I don't give a shit about all that crap out there. You know, it's not my problem. You know, all these fucking leaders out there, they got problems with each other and they want to fucking fight amongst each other. Fine. Put them in a goddamn cage and fight it out to the death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Seriously.
Yeah.
I'd do pay-per-view to watch it. You know what I mean? It'd be an awesome fucking fight, I think. You know?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that though? I mean, you know, but I think Putin would fucking kick a lot of ass though, in my mind, because he's
Starmer wouldn't even get in the ring. He's defeated already.
Yeah, he's a tough old
Just to look at him and he go, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
I
mean, Biden couldn't even fucking walk upstairs much. You know, I mean, fuck, he couldn't do shit. You know what I mean? Mm.
If he had to take Starmer on and somebody like Biden in the same ring at the same time, and he'd go, "Is this all you got to offer?"
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
seriously, you know, I mean, man, it drives me nuts, Ron. Just like, and
I
it, and,
know.
it, and it keeps on getting worse, and it seems like we're getting hit in all different angles all at the same time. It's like it's always something new, almost every day. It seems like something else and something new is coming up, and it's coming in faster and faster. You know what I mean? And and that's what worries me about the future generations is like, what they're going to end up growing up in. Even the ones that aren't even born yet, what they're going to end up being, growing
Yeah,
up in.
yeah,
Um,
that's a worrying thing. Is it?
well,
I'll
I
tell
try
you
not to
what.
worry about it. I'm very concerned, but I try, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? Because if I sat down and worried about it too much, I'd just go crazy. Honestly, I just go freaking nuts, but I am concerned about it, because I mean, hell, if I'm lucky, Ron, I'm 51 years old. If I'm lucky, I got 20 years left, because I mean, most of the men in my family have been dying around 75, 78 years old. So I'm thinking, shit, I probably got probably at most maybe 20 years, or at the minimum 20 years left if nothing else happens. So I mean, and I start thinking about what the next 20 years is going to look like
I
if that's
know.
all I do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Everything's running at such a fast pace at the moment,
Yeah.
and there's
I mean,
nothing that you as an individual can really, apart from this, talk
well,
about it.
that's the thing, Ron. And that's the thing. It's like, all of us talking to each other, and even if we don't agree, just having the conversation, maybe we can put our
Yeah.
heads together, world fucking wide, put our heads together and find solutions for this shit. Because
Yeah.
evidently, the other side, the evil side, they've been doing it for generations and they've
Yeah.
been looking hundreds of years into the future. We haven't. Evidently. I mean, I'm living paycheck to paycheck type of thing. I'm thinking about where I'm going to get my next meal, da 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 da. I'm not thinking hundreds of years into the future on, after I'm gone, what, because I mean, you know, and then plus I don't have that multi-generational wealth either. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Um,
it also, well, see, I can only speak for how it's going on in the UK, people. So,
right.
yeah, fill in the gaps when it comes into what's going on over there. But the left over here is actually heavily financed.
Well, yeah.
Heavily financed when it comes down to the people that are protesting against things, which is harming. They're not financed or anything. You know what I mean? They're just doing it out of themselves. They get themselves from A to B if they want to go to a protest. Whereas the left side in the UK, they are given the placards. A van turns
Yeah.
up with all the
That's how it
placards.
happens.
They're ferried to that place.
Yeah.
It's
That's happening the
organized.
same kind of thing here too. I mean,
Mm.
I can't prove it, but it's probably like George Soros paying a lot of this shit out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I mean, because I mean, honestly, there are people that they are paid protesters. You see them at
yeah,
every single protest. Doesn't matter what it is, but you see them there, every single one of them. They're the ones that are out there with the bullhorns chanting. They're the ones passing out the placards and stuff like that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And you can think about how much money it is to transport all these people in and out. Yeah, of course. I mean, I mean, there's, you can start following the money. Like I said, I can't prove it, but there's, the theory that people like George Soros and stuff like that are pushing it. And he's a communist, you know what I mean? And then, and then you start thinking about the WEF. Like I said earlier, it's like the true enemies really is like the WEF, the fucking Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, the Club of Rome, the fucking, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the was it um, um, was it the Council of Foreign Affairs, the UN, These are the enemies, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, until people really realize who the true alien enemy is, and on top of that, they have to know the enemy and themselves, or we'll never be successful. We'll never be victorious. You know what I mean? And if we keep on
Mhm.
sitting there fighting amongst ourselves for bullshit and over stupid shit, we're never going to be able to organize. We'll never be able to sit there and talk to each other because we can't agree about things, so we get into a fight and all this other shit, and then next thing you know, we can't even talk to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That plain communication breakdown. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, shit. They're communicating. The other side is communicating, and like I said, they're planning hundreds of years into the future. You know, there's a lot of
Oh
people,
yeah.
they will never see the fruits of their own labor, but yet they are, paving the way for the future generations on their side to keep and gain control. You know what I mean? Because I think, what is it?
Well,
Go ahead.
what
Sorry.
how I look at it is that they are brainwashing the generation, the next generation coming. They are
Yeah.
the ones around about 1821. Now, you've got some individuals, you've got people like Young Bob who has looked into it, and that's why he is now getting attacked, because he knows what he's talking about. So there are some out there like Young Bob who is willing to put themselves out there. We are worried about him. I think that most people, rational thinking people, which the rational thinking people are not looking for the violence. It seems to be coming from the left side, which is actually into the violent side of things. But a lot of people have turned around and said, I've noticed it in chats, and whenever it's being talked about, who knows about him, most people are really worried about him, what may happen at some point.
Yeah.
So it
Well, I
wouldn't
mean,
surprise.
that is the language that they really do know is violence. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I mean, diplomacy and stuff like that is just definitely not their language. Because I
No.
mean, seriously, talking to them and stuff like that, trying to get a rational or cordial conversation with them, it's almost impossible. It seems like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because then because they can't defend their positions. Hell, yeah, so a lot of these people at these protests, they're sitting there holding these signs and stuff, and they have no idea what the hell they're protesting. Or
Mhm.
they can't defend the position that they're protesting for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you try to actually have a conversation about that. Next thing you know, you point out the flaw in their logic. Then they get defensive, and then they start calling you names or trying to get violent and all this other shit. You know what I mean?
Well, we've got
Yeah.
some. We subscribe to a few people that emigrated here. Their parents fled their country, and they brought the family over. If you're going to flee a country, there's got to be a reason. But they went to the Tommy Robinson March, and while they were there, they asked some questions. Oh no! After the Tommy Robinson March, they went to a Palestinian march, and
Right.
they asked some questions to people. And they said, right, okay, then where did you get your placard from saying Palestine shall be free?
Right.
And they were saying, oh, we was given them. So they said, so why are you holding it up when you don't even know what you're carrying?
Right.
You were just given them, and they took it. I thought, why didn't you ask? Well, what does this particular placard about? What's the meaning behind it? They just pick them up and go, yeah, I'll carry it, and I'll start chanting all this shit. Just goes to show that some people are really lost or just stupid.
Oh man, I was it a couple weekends ago. I all these First Amendment auditors here in America and all that stuff. We had this thing called Audapalooza, and there's a bunch of the auditors. We all went to like a meetup. This is over in Pensacola, over here in Florida, and while I went with Joe Cool, me and Joe Cool, yeah, I went over and I met up with him and we went together. And when while we were there, they were doing the No Kings protest in Pensacola because they had this No Kings protest all over the country. All right. And they happened to have a protest in Pensacola while we were there. And I went and did some filming and stuff. I recorded a bunch of it. And I was basically recording the wildlife in their in their environment, you know, that kind of thing. And I thought it was kind of interesting that majority, I'd say 80% of the people that were there were over the age of 60. You know what I mean? Which was interesting. And but this is another thing that's becoming more of a normal thing. You see some of these protesters are wearing these blow up costumes, you know, like a dinosaur or a unicorn or some shit like that. I'm like, what the hell? They're sitting there wearing these costumes with bullhorns and bells and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is that? What exactly is that? What message are you trying to send? You know what I mean? In this protest, dressed as a fucking unicorn. You know what I mean? What is that?
Yeah,
You know, it's becoming more of a normal thing on these protests around here for some reason.
We have the furries and all of them.
Yeah. I don't understand that. I don't understand it. What's the message they're trying to send? I don't understand that. You
know. I've never had a debate with furry or whatever they're bloody called on a panel yet to understand it. You know, well, if they keep it to themselves and it makes them happy and what have you, because I know that Charlie Veitch and a few of them have come across them. They're very polite. You know, they're standing there with a muzzle on and all this stuff. You know what I mean? But every time he's passed them, you know, they've been very polite and what have you to Charlie. So Charlie hasn't had any problems with them so far. If it does become a problem, I'm sure that he'll voice his opinion very plainly. But so far, there haven't been problems.
Yeah, the only ones I've seen Charlie actually have any problems with was like the people with the baklavas or whatever you call them, the fucking hooded motherfuckers, you know, with their face covered up and all that shit.
Yeah, balaclavas on, yeah.
That's the only ones that I've seen them really have any problems with. They're the ones that actually get violent or try to get violent.
It's the same way as the Muslim religion is dominance. They think that they can what's the word? Intimidate you from having that mask shit on and what have you. So, and that's what I like about people like Charlie Veitch. They will confront them. Yeah, obviously, at some point, they will have to get bodyguards. Like
he does every once in a while. He doesn't always have one with him, but he's got a couple of guys that walk with him. Like I saw this one video. One guy came up on him, and he had his fucking security guard with him. And the guy came up, he just smacked him in the face and then kicked him. And the guy was on the ground. I was sitting there rooting. I was rooting for him. I was like, hell yeah.
You know, this is since we live in a knife society. Yeah, because that's what it is. UK is a knife society, isn't a gun society. So when you see people walking up to you who are hostile and they've got their hands and they're rummaging in their pockets and what have you.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, and then they've got their face covered. You do not know if that person is carrying something or not. So what do you do? Stay away, stay away, stay away. If they haven't listened, then the next thing you do is you clump them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I get it. You know, I mean, you know, but the only problem is, it's like, you know, it's like here, you know, because I mean, you know, it is a gun society. So I mean, you know, you got to think about that. And I'm, you know, it's already started. I mean, there was one guy that was shooting at the ICE officers and stuff like that. Ended up killing a couple of the detainees, or one of the detainees or whatever. But you know, it's like it's already getting down. This was like about a week or two right after Charlie Kirk got killed. But you know, eventually it'll get, even back in the day, it's like what they called the Summer of Love, when they did all those riots and shit, back a few years back. Um, there was a bunch of these people that were stopping cars and pulling guns out onto the and shooting people, or pulling it out and just pointing at people in cars and shit.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, when all those riots happened, there was quite a few people that actually got killed, and stuff like that. Like there was a child that got killed, or a young girl that got killed, and a couple other people and stuff. But and that's another thing too. Is like, because they want to start violence and stuff like that. They want to start this civil war. They've been chanting this kind of thing for a long time. I think that's the reason why the powers that should not be want to get the conservative side to get radicalized and get violent also. Because then it would start that. They would kick it off, so they can come in and institute that martial law and all that other crap, and basically lock us down. You know what I mean? But I don't know. That might bite. That, in my opinion, that might backfire altogether. In my opinion, because I feel it in my gut that the powers that should not be, if they actually bring out the chaos, I think the chaos is going to envelop them. It's going to turn on them. The ones that are actually causing all this shit, and I feel that in my gut. But I think.
Do you think then that Trump has got other options than to bring the National Guard into these, like Portland? That seems to be. I don't know enough about it, but whenever I hear some snippets of it, it seems like it's out of control, and that's what he's had to do because the police can't handle the situation. So, would you say that he's justified or unjustified?
I would say it's not necessarily the police can't handle it. It's that they're told not to do anything about it, like the governors or something like that, or those states or those cities or whatever.
That's what I thought,
not to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not wanting to get involved and all this shit. You know what I mean? They're basically a communist fucking governor or whatever. You got and they're not doing it. So it's basically forcing his hand, in my opinion. But whatever.
Well, it's like London. You've got Sadiq Khan, and he can sort of. They say he can't, but it definitely seems that way. That he has got more say within the Metropolitan Police than meets the eye. That he does get in heavily involved, and he does have a say in how the Met police a protest. It's as clear as day. If you go to a protest in the City of London and you are for the flag, against the immigration and what have you, and he doesn't agree with that clearly, then he will get the police out with truncheons and riot shields and riot helmets on. When it comes to the other ones, then it's like the tit on the head copper, not the riot police. It's the normal everyday, what they would class back in the day as your Bobby the Bobby on the beat sort of look, and it doesn't matter how violent they may get, they do not call out the riot police. That's how it seems to be. So I think he's got a lot of influence within the City of London, a lot more influence than what some people may think he has. A lot of influence.
But even then, it's like, those this everyday beat cops and stuff like that. Really, can they can't really. I've seen a few videos now. I'm saying, it's like they just stand around and they really don't do a whole lot.
No.
I've seen things that look like, it's like on the video, it's like it's plain as day that these people are actually doing some violence and stuff like that. And you see those yellow vest fucking wearing cops standing right there. I know they saw it, but they don't do shit. You know what I mean? And
Well,
I understand that shit.
I take it you saw the Southport, what happened in Southport. They had a protest march. When was it? Last weekend, wasn't it? And you could see about 3 officers standing on a bridge, which led to a train station, and a few people were standing up there as well. And somebody had which could have been acid, but it was piss, threw the piss from the bridge onto the protesters with It's like they knew that it was going to happen. They knew that was going to happen, but they did nothing about it till it's too late. The guy's done it, and then they decide to do something about it. It's like,
well, see, that's another thing too. It's like here in the States, it seems like they get the stand down order where they don't do anything because they're ordered not to do anything. And then on top of that, even if they did make an arrest, these people don't stay in jail for very long.
no.
Somehow they get out like in no time. Their bond or their whatever is paid and all that stuff, and they get out and they're right back out there doing the exact same shit again. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's like, what the fuck is going on here? It's like it seems like it's all being orchestrated. It seems like it's actually it's all being done, on purpose. You know what I mean? And you know, like I was saying, it was like, all that funding coming from somewhere is paying these people's bail to get them out. You know what I mean? And because they're paid protesters, or even if they aren't, they've got, Antifa have got their own fucking lawyers. You know what I mean? To get people out of jail and stuff, or fight, their charges and stuff. What the hell?
We're getting people. What was that guy who did an assault or something, and he was he's not of descent, of the UK, and he got a 12-month suspended sentence. They're getting these sort of sentences, wasn't it, for suspend, and it's like, hang on a minute, if it was somebody else who did that, then they would more likely get 2 to 3.
Yeah,
this guy, he gets a suspended sentence.
Yeah, they probably just throw the book at him. Otherwise, if it was somebody else, right?
Yeah, and that's what, that's how bad the court system is as well. But now they've found out that particular judges that these people may be coming up against are part of, or were part of, the Fabian Society.
It's like they're all complicit, evidently. They're you know what I mean?
Against their own people.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I was saying earlier, when it come down to, like, for instance, like the military and stuff like that, or the National Guard or whatever, or these people, even the cops, they'll probably do exactly what they're told. If they're told to stand down, or if they're told not to stand down, they'll do exactly what they're told, because this is what they're told. That's their job. It's just, and then they'll use the same excuses the Nazis did back in the day. Trying, like during the Nuremberg trials. I was just doing my job. You know what I mean? And so, it's like, it's like when the lockdowns or whatever you want to call it, the shot in the arm shit, it's like, Fauci should be in prison. You know what I mean? And all this other shit, you know what I mean? It's like, that kind of stuff, it's like, when they were like, here, for instance, in the States, when all that stuff was going on, people, were getting charged or whatever because they weren't wearing a mask, or there was a guy that was actually out in the ocean or whatever, surfing, and they had locked out, said that you weren't allowed on the beaches anymore, and this guy was out there surfing, and he ended up getting charged for just, because it was against their, what do you call it? Like, wasn't a curfew, but it was something similar to that.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, where they couldn't go into parks and stuff like that
Yeah.
or whatever. You know, and oh man, it's like, you know, I mean, you know damn well these cops, they knew better in their heart, or they're just psychopaths altogether. They knew better in their heart, but they still did it anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know,
Yeah.
I'm just
I
doing my job. I didn't make the laws. I just enforce them. That kind of, I'm just doing my job, you know, that kind of shit.
Mhm.
You know,
Was it the other night? Working Class Patriot had a guy on there, something captain or captain something, I can't remember. But he was saying that he's got family members which are in the police force and friends which are in the police force. And he says, you know, they've got no choice, blah, blah, blah. And I give exactly the same argument as you. Come on, you know, your morals would kick in. You know what I mean? You know
you would
what
think.
right and what is wrong. And he
Yeah.
said, well, no, they've got pressure on them and whatever. And I thought, and then he turned around and says, oh, well, they have to act on to do with the protests and everything. I said, hang on. And they don't really do much. I said, okay, then. So the guy got smashed in the face with one of their riot shields. He wasn't throwing any punches, not kicking and what have you. And he got his, let me think now, camera view. I think it is the whole of his right hand side of his face completely smashed in. His face looks disfigured. That's how it was. And he also had a long baton welt go straight across his spine. I said, is that being gentle, nice? I said, whereas the other side, you know it, the lefties, which they led the 13th of September march into that area where they were going to confront the left. And so they did it on purpose just to batter some people. You know, I thought, no, you're speaking out your ass, mate. You know, all due respect, but you are speaking out your fucking ass. Come on. You can't say, you know, I mean, you know what's right and wrong. You know,
Well, that's a big problem, though. It's like, you know, people, they, doing the right thing no matter what you're told, instead of doing what you're told no matter what is the right thing. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, it seems like the morality and honor is just it just seems like it's non-existent anymore. It seems like that. You know, I get glimmers of that still existing, but it doesn't seem like it's on a massive scale. It just seems like honor and morality it's gone out the window.
Yeah.
Especially it seems like that, especially in the younger generation. You know what I mean? It seems like that. I don't know, but you know, I might be wrong, but you know, like I said, I get glimmers of it every so often.
What was it? Working Class Patriot. I think it was about the second time. No, the first time. That's it. I jumped up on his panel, and you had this guy called Baz on the panel.
Yeah.
And I heard what they're talking about, and I turned and said, well, for me, I'm a straight white Englishman, and he's a lefty, and he turned and says, are you trying to say, are you homophobic, are you? And I thought, what? Or because I class myself as a straight white Englishman, you know. I ended up explaining, I shouldn't really, but I said, well, hang on a minute, you know, the straight white person, regardless if you're English or American or whatever, we are targeted, and that's the point. Well, I said it. I said we are targeted from all directions. You know, you're targeted from the gay, well, the trans community. You're targeted because you're a white man. You know, you're targeted because you are an Englishman. You know, because of past history. I said, so yeah. I said, what? So if I'd have said that I was Christian also, what would you have said? That, oh, you're Islamophobic? And he said, yeah. I thought, typical left.
Right. Well, I mean, that's another thing too. It's almost like talking points, because a phobia is an irrational fear. I mean, honestly, I'm not homophobic because I don't have any irrational fears of homosexuality, or trans people. I'm not a irrational fear of that shit. So I mean,
No?
but it's a trigger fucking trying to words and talking points and all this other shit, but but it's also I'm not going to sit there and reinforce your delusion or your mental fucking crap going on, just because you want to dress like a fucking girl and chop your dick off and stuff. It's not my fucking deal. I don't give a shit that you can do that all you want, but don't sit there and try to force me into and to reinforce your delusion. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
just to call you a female
Right. Yeah.
because
Fuck
you've
all
had a
that.
sex
I'm not
change.
gonna,
No,
I'm not
you
even gonna
are
do that.
biologically, no matter how you've altercated yourself, your body, you are still a man. You are still a woman,
Right.
and that's just.
Well, I mean, I know people that
It
are
is.
gay. I know people that are gay and I know people that are trans, but the people that I know, they don't try to shove that down my throat
Yes,
and force
yes,
me into it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
yeah,
I know people that are gay that are not. They totally disagree with this whole LGBTQ fucking
yeah,
whatever fucking alphabet shit that they fucking going on. They just
yeah,
totally they're like, I don't want nothing to do with that crap. You know what I mean? But it
yeah,
seems like this is all being hijacked. You know what I mean? There's so many people in the gay community that thinks that trans shit is just hijacking their community and putting a bad light on them and all this other stuff. But when all these people are trying to force that down to, or even enact legislation through government to force us
mhm,
into um, you know, I don't know. It's like when it comes down to the bathrooms and stuff like that, or the
mhm,
or the dressing rooms. It's like all that stuff with the female dressing rooms and or female sports and all this stuff that trying to force this on to people. Even through and like I said, trying to get laws passed or whatever or legislation passed where you have to or be considered a criminal offense or whatever, because they'll try and say it's all this hate speech and blah 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 blah, whatever. Because there is no fucking such thing as hate speech, in my opinion. But
yeah. Well, we
it
did. I listened to. I don't know if you've ever come across him. He's a comedian, and he's called Eddie Izzard. Yeah,
uh,
English guy.
I mean,
And
maybe the name doesn't sound familiar right offhand, but
well,
maybe.
he's trans. Yeah,
Okay.
and he said that back in the 80s or beginning of the 90s, I can't remember, but he turned around and said that he was in a toilet and these young girls, he went into a female toilets and these young girls, school kids, turned around and said, "What the fuck are you doing in here?" And they forcibly removed him. And then he turns around and says, "Well, I was in fear for myself." You know what I mean? And I thought, you was in fear for yourself. You're a man with a man's physique in a female toilets where there's some young schoolgirls, and you are saying you're scared of them in a female toilets. Who was more scared? But this is how some of these fanatics see it, that I feel scared, whereas I'm a man in there, and these children feel threatened by you.
Well,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, you think about it. I mean, honestly, I okay. What about actual women's rights? And women's fucking.
Yeah,
I mean, just because you're a dude, you want to dress like a fucking female, doesn't mean that you can go in there and be a female because you're not a female.
that's
You,
right.
you don't. I mean, if you want to use the bathroom, for instance, you go to a male bathroom. If you're biological male, you go to a male bathroom. I don't care if you're wearing a dress or not. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah,
mean, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, you could be a pedo. I don't know. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And you're just wearing a dress so you can go to these dressing rooms or these bathrooms. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, they're in there wagging their tallywhacker around. You know what I mean?
See, I wouldn't feel threatened if I was in a public toilet and some guy who's dressed in a bloody dress, makeup on, the whole deal. I wouldn't feel threatened. It's another guy.
Yeah, I know, but that's a different story in a females though. When it comes down to that, that's a man going into their space.
But that's their argument, is it? Well, if I walked into a male's toilets, no, I think that most males are accepting that there's different people living in their own little different worlds and what have you. So we personally, I wouldn't care if the guy, he could be dressed like a fucking horse. And I don't mean he's Todger people. I'm talking about if he is dressed because he believes he's a horse. Right. I wouldn't think nothing of it. I'd just look and go, carry on. Crack on. I don't care. As long as I can do mine, I don't really care. But this is the argument they always have. Some of these fanatics turn around and say, well, I feel threatened. If I go in there, I'm going to be, I don't know, beaten up or something. I very much doubt it, because I think back in the 1970s to 1980s, by then, all of that prejudice had been thrown out the window by some artists, and one I can think of straight away is Freddie Mercury. He brought it to the front, says, look, I'm gay, and they sold millions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was openly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he wrote a fucking song. Yeah. It pretty much said it all right there in his song, one of his songs. So, I mean,
but people were very open-minded back in the 80s. So why it should be an issue now, it just confounds me, because everybody's accepted of that there is such a thing as gay men, lesbian females, people that like to dress up in women's clothing, people that want to have a full sex change. As long as you don't expect me to refer to you as, if you've had a sex change and you as a female and you had a sex change to become a male, don't expect me to class you as a man. Right. If I know that you were a female and you was born a female, then don't push upon me how I should perceive you.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
that's where my problem
it's on the same level as all these other, they, them, or, or whatever that crap is. I'm like, oh my God, come on, people. You know what I mean? This is it's like a mental, we call it, almost need to be put in a mental institution in some ways, because they got something going. There's something definitely, either they got a couple of screws loose, you know what I mean? They're fucking, their elevator don't go to the top floor, evidently, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't dismiss that they have got a situation where they feel I'm a man or a female trapped in the body. I get that side of it. The only part I don't get is that trying to force people. See, if a guy was dressed, if a guy had sex change and was a female, I'd think, okay, then I'll refer to you as a female because I want to make that choice to refer to you as a female. Right. Not if I turn around and refer to you as a male that I am a phobic or whatever you want to call me. No, it's what I choose, how I want to identify you as.
It's a difference between you volunteering it or being mandated or forced into it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Forced into how I should identify. If a woman had a sex change to become a bloke, I'd say, all right, mate. But if I have the thought of saying, no, you're a guy and, or you are a female, so I'm going to refer you that way, then, allow me the courtesy to address you how I feel and not how you expect me, and trying to force me to address you the way how you feel. No, it doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. You know, it's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. I don't want to be fooled.
Yeah, no shit, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and it just keeps on getting, you know, like I said, it's almost like, you know, we're getting hit from all directions from so many different things at the same time. And you know, and it's hard to, it's like, what, to what end are we, you know, what end, where does it end? You know, um, or when does it start getting better? I mean, I know people that, that have this belief and hope and all this other stuff that it's actually going to be better and all this other shit. And I mean, you know, I hope they're right, and I hope I'm wrong on some things, but it just seems like, you know, from the evidence or the stuff that I've been seeing, that, you know, it's not going in that direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
Well, I'll put it this way. I think that most of the trans community, I'd say it's only small, but it's the media that makes it sound like all the trans community, all the pre-ops and all this stuff, yeah, they're up in arms and, you know, complaining about, you know, we should be treated in a certain way. I don't honestly believe that the majority of these people, they just want to be left alone. They want to just live their lives. They want to contribute like everybody else, but it's the media and what have you, which want to build it into something that it isn't. That isn't there. The prejudice isn't there. It's just the media that is trying to make people believe that there's a lot of ignorant people and not accepting people of different ways of life. I think the media is a lot of fucking blame for it.
yeah. I mean, they're definitely putting gas on the fire and fanning the flames for sure.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes down to all this kind of stuff, it really is. I mean, you know, honestly, I think, damn, the mainstream media anyway is well, here in the States anyway, I just think it's like state sponsored media. I mean, it's ran by the, you know, it's influenced and ran by the CIA. It's all this other crap. And, you know, I don't believe a word that comes out of their mouth. They might put a kernel of truth in there every once in a while to keep people engaged. You know what I mean? But, you know, most of it is all fucking lies anyway. I don't really trust anything that comes out of their mouth. That's why, I mean, you know, I have, like I said, I told you this before. I haven't watched regular TV in probably 20 years, 15 or 20 years. All right. And, you know, I watch YouTube. That's my TV now. You know what I mean? And I like, you know, and I might get snippets of actual mainstream media and stuff like that, just to try and, because honestly, if I don't keep up with what they're saying, you know, I'll be ignorant of their propaganda, you know, but I don't watch that stuff, like, you know, I that's why I really do like all the independent media and people out there actually trying to do some journalism, because I think real journalism is really, I mean, it's not like it used to be back when, like in the 80s, for instance, you know, or whatever. I mean, you know, it seemed like journalism was a lot, there was actually investigative journalists trying to find, you know, the truth, you know, trying to find the skeletons in the closet. And it just seems like nowadays it's not that anymore. And but there are some independent people out there trying to do that. You know.
Well, I tune into 2C, and I also like a guy with GB News, Patrick something, because he went over to Calais. He went to one of the migrant camps in Calais, which they're waiting to jump on a boat. And he also, there's a fucking website out there where you can get in touch with one of the traffickers. So he acted as if he was trying to get from Calais to England. And he said it's that easy to get in touch with one of these people. and actually get to meet the person who's going to be doing it, you know, to take the money from you. He said, so why aren't the governments, he proved it there in front of you, how easy it is. So when we heard Starmer saying, oh, we're going to break the human trafficking syndicates and what have you, he showed them, he said, well, it ain't fucking hard. Just go on their app and just get in touch with them. He showed it. It's like, so he's all right, isn't he, Patrick? But he's seeing it as a family man because he's having his first child. His wife is a report with GB News as well, and she's now not, because she's around about 8 months pregnant. So he's decided, fuck it, somebody has to call this shit out because he's worried about his upcoming family. So I have to take a stance on this and turn around and say what's going on. I can't hide this anymore, you know. So I expect him to get the sack soon. I do expect like Dan Wooden and all of them, you know what I mean? What's his Steve Stein, people like that. You know what I mean? Because they,
well, I mean, honestly, I mean, you know, there have been people that were trying to put the truth out there and stuff like that, and really do some real news, and they get sacked. But next thing you know, which I have seen this before, they get sacked, and next thing you know, they go all independent on their own, and they get more people watching them than they did the actual news they did before. You know what I mean? The actual like the mainstream media type of thing, channels and stuff like that. I think the mainstream stuff is dying out because there's so many independents out there, or people just, you know, but that's another thing too. All the censorship, you know, like for instance, like here on YouTube. All right, YouTube is not a free speech platform. All right, it's owned by Google. It's, you know, owned by Alphabet. They do not want free speech. All right. You know, there's, you know, like back in the day, 5 years ago, when all that crap was going on, I mean, hell, you couldn't say certain things, you know, without getting your channel fucking taken down or something like that. I mean, it's kind of relaxed a little bit, you know, now, you know, I personally, I don't really, me personally, I don't really sit there and censor myself or try to do any of that stuff. I might change some words around, but people know what the fuck I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But you know, and that's another thing too. When we were talking about on that too, I was like, you know, when it comes down to you guys over there in the UK, I mean, I've been noticing, you know, I've been seeing stories of people getting arrested for just posting a meme. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what the fuck is that all about? You know, it's like, and we actually had our first case that I know of here in America. A guy got arrested for a fucking meme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, this is where it's going now. It's like, okay, the next thing you know, this would be more, you know, unless we all as Americans stand against this shit, this is the trend. You know what I mean? And that's why I was like, that's why I like to keep an eye on everybody else across the pond or wherever else, because it seems like y'all being the testing ground for what will eventually happen here. You know what I mean? Because that's why I was like, that's why I was sitting there talking about the digital ID, you know, because it seems like y'all are the testing ground for what they want to push over here. You know what I mean? And if they can make that successful over there, then they can make it successful over here.
Well, of course.
You know,
of course.
You know, and and they're doing it in not just in the UK, but they're doing it like in Australia. I mean, they're doing it like I think it was it like Vietnam actually, when it comes down to the digital ID. Just recently, you know, they rolled out the digital ID, and there was like 60,000 people or something like that didn't want it. Well, guess what they did? They shut their bank accounts down.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what they'll do here. If it carries on the way it's going, you won't have the option.
Yeah,
you will not have an option to it. So
yeah, that's the thing too. It's like, you know, it's like, well, I mean, you know, what the fuck, it's like either you comply or you figure out a different way to make a living, for instance, or whatever, or oh, shit, or have some cash, to keep, or whatever. Because if they get rid of the cash and do the digital currency and stuff like that, then all it is just a mouse click away from shutting your bank, shutting your money off. And then you won't have anything. You won't have to be able. You won't be able to pay bills. You won't be able to buy food. You won't be able to buy gas. Hell, they're even talking about over in the UK and stuff like that. They were talking about all this, keeping track of people's like carbon footprint of their vehicles, and getting to the point where they want to basically eliminate vehicles except for like public transport and all that sort of shit. That's why one of the things that they're trying to push here with the electric vehicles, you know what I mean? Because they want to do all that 15-minute city crap, the smart cities and shit like that.
I was going to say 15-minute cities. Yeah, that's what it's called. That's what these train and bus attacks are. Yeah.
Yeah. I read that a while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? What was that one? I think was it in London or what was it? It was somewhere over there where they were talking about really getting the 15-minute city going.
It was. Oh, I know what you're on about, because we talked about this about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When we did that piece on it. I think it's Cambridge or something.
Yeah, I can't remember right offhand, Ron. I can't remember, but I mean, and then. What's kind of funny too, because I'm sitting there thinking about it. Okay, that last hurricane that just came through Jamaica. All right, that town in Jamaica that the hurricane hit. Because we're talking about weather modification and all this stuff, blah 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 blah. This is a real technology. That town that just destroyed by that hurricane in Jamaica was actually slated for the new smart city. So all they had to do is just wipe the fucking town clean so they can bring in this new smart city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Oxford. It was Oxford. Raymond's just
right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Universities, cities. Yeah.
University cities. Yeah. Because that's how they were trying to push it over here in the U.S. Is all these college places or all these college towns and stuff like that. That would be the new 15-minute cities and stuff, and all the college kids would be all for it, because there's, they won't have to, I don't know. It'd be so convenient for so many people in those areas.
Oh yeah.
They removed it and called it toxic in the end.
They removed it and called it what?
Toxic.
Who called it toxic?
The term 15-minute city was removed from Oxford's local plan and is considered toxic.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. I don't trust that. Who said it? Who was it? Who was saying? AI. Oh, right.
Yeah. Switched it off of there. Look, it's not even on. Little bitch, innit? I don't like AI.
No.
It's listening to you.
It is.
It sneaks in my phone even though it's switched off.
So okay. Go on a lighter note before I go. So what do you think of Working Class Patriots channel?
Well, actually, man, I just subscribed to him just recently, but I've been kind of off and on poking my head in, and I it's been having some good conversations here and there. Like I was over there yesterday actually. They were going on talking about weed and stuff like that. And I was like, that happened to be a subject I was very interested in, you know what I mean? But yeah, they were going on all that kind of stuff. And they had I can't remember her name. She was from Scotland or something like that, or she was very vocal. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I just recently subscribed to him, and
it's a good channel. It's a good it's a good channel where you can have good debates and what have you. It is a good
Well,
channel. It
and
isn't filtering
today
people.
was like, or yesterday or whatever, technically. Um, it was the first time I've been on the panel, but I've
Mhm.
been, like I said, I've been kind of poking my head in, um, you know, here and there, basically window shopping, for a while now. But I just decided, I think it was yesterday or the day, or the day before or something like that. I just went ahead and subscribed because I was like,
Mhm.
well, this is, you know, um,
It's a
I don't know.
good. He runs a good, honest channel. That's what I like.
Well, I
It's
mean,
like
why, what,
G
I mean,
days and things like that.
that's not Dave's channel though, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
working
okay.
class.
I didn't think it was Dave's channel. I thought it was,
Yeah,
what's his, somebody else's for some reason.
yeah, it's working class patriot, but he has
Okay.
his own name.
Oh, okay.
When he's on the panel, yeah, Dave. That's
Okay.
what I mean. It's like back in the old days, we could all go over to uh, SG's channel and we could
Right.
speak as a normal human being and what have you. And he's more open to people's difference of opinions. But like here, like my channel, which
Yeah.
is very far and few between, I know that Independent Many is still, if I'm correct, still a free speaking channel as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know there's a few out there, but yeah,
Yeah, but
he runs the
it
channel.
gets even freer. I mean, because we'll do backstages. Andy, she'll do backstage over here on StreamYard, and we'll sit back there for hours. Sometimes, like Friday nights and stuff, we do movie night. We just sit backstage and sit there and watch movies and shit and talk, and
Oh,
we'll do it for like I was asleep all night. I slept right through it. But she played 2 movies last night for Halloween. Like I think she did
wicked.
Exorcist and some other movie for Halloween, and then also people come up on panel in the backstage and sit there and just talk and stuff like that. And then on Monday nights she'll do like half and half. She'll do music for first half of it or half of it, and then conversation for the next for the other half. And then when she shuts the stream down, we'll go backstage and sit there and talk for another 4 or 5 hours depending. So I mean, that's kind of fun. Like the conversation gets even freer because we can sit there and talk and not have to worry about YouTube bullshit. And
True,
you know,
true.
so I mean, and I mean, I still do some backstage stuff too, but I can't share videos like Indy can, but because I'm only on a cell phone, but I do try and have some conversations backstage and stuff like that every so often. But it's we're trying to keep the conversation going, and find all the workarounds when it comes down to YouTube and shit. Um, so the free speech scenario can be a lot more because, like I said, the backstage is definitely a good option to get away from YouTube's crap. Um, you know, um, but
Well, can I just refer to? I will be disappearing in a minute, but I just want to refer to Howes. He let me speak. I take it you're talking about who is just talking about House of Bad Influence, House of Bad Influence. He let me speak. I take it he was on about who we're talking about, but he's buddy with rebel Jews. Who are you referring to? If you're referring to who I was just talking about, I've got to say one thing when it comes down to Rebel News. They are on the same page when we was all in lockdown. They're exposing what was going on within the world as a collective. So, either you was for, against the lockdown, because they definitely were, and exposing what was going on, the two-tier system, how it is treating certain people who were, because the clubs would come out against people who are saying no to this and no to that. We don't want our children to be having the cupcake. I don't know if you're allowed to say it here. Having the stuff put in their arms and what have you. They're against that. So what part of Rebel News are you not for? Because I would say that most of it, I understand some of it, but most of what they're saying is what I was saying during all the lockdowns part of it. And they were saying basically the same thing and exposing what was going on. So I'm interested to know, whoever you are, what part of it you don't like.
I'm not even familiar with that channel. I mean, that's a new one to me. But
It's Ezra. It is a Jewish person owns the channel. But to me, they were hitting all the correct marks when they were saying about you shouldn't lock people down. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. Why are you taking free speech away? Why are you censoring people from talking about what's going on? You know, so they were saying all the correct words. And even today, they will say all the correct words also. Doesn't mean I agree with everything that they say, but a lot of it I do. So I'm just wondering what part of it don't you like of Rebel News? Which part?
He said they're grifters. Was it? He said they're grifters, not on your side. Don't be fooled. Controlled opposition. That's what he said.
Yeah, but they're saying the right things. They were saying the right things. You know, I don't think that they're. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that they're for George Soros. I don't believe so. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty damn sure that they're not for him. They see him as part of the problem. I do believe. I could be wrong.
Well, you know, I mean, you got to understand when it comes down to any of these, like for instance, mainstream or anything like that is on that same level, you're going to get misinformation. But but if you don't watch that stuff or don't listen to it, you're going to be uninformed because then you won't know what the other side is saying. It might be misinformation or all that stuff, but I mean, but still, it's kind of like knowing the enemy and knowing what they're talking about, even though it might be all bullshit, whatever. But I don't know. And like even then, I'm not even that. I know of Rebel News. I don't put too much faith into it, but still.
There's bits and pieces which they do.
Yeah. I mean,
but you say that he's also put. I am going to have to shoot off. I was a fan of theirs and Tommy until I seen through them both.
Yeah,
I have the receipts. Well, I'll put it this way. If you're indicating to Tommy Robinson saying that he's a Zionist and all this stuff, he isn't a Zionist, but he plays the game. You know, when you're being called you're a Zionist, you're a Zionist, you're a Zionist, you're a Zionist, on a very much basis, you might as well go, yeah, okay, then I'll buy a T-shirt with I'm a Zionist on it. You know what I mean? Because I've been called a Zionist. I'll go, yeah, all right then. Whatever. Like, I'm a racist. Whatever. Just don't like what I'm saying. That's what I put. So I may be hitting a few truths. So I'd say.
Well, I mean, evidently nowadays, Rebel News is definitely putting some bad taste in people's mouths nowadays. Anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not, the GB News. I do like GB News, but only like the individual person to do with GB News. You know,
Right.
I know Farage is part of GB News. So when you've got somebody who is a member of parliament, you know that there's something not quite right. You know, so
Right.
I don't trust every single news reporter at GB News. So I'm very particular on which ones I will actually tune in and listen to. I don't listen to them all.
Right.
No, there's good and bad in every single. Well, unless you're the BBC, then all you got is bad. If it's Sky UK, all you've got is bad. So that's why I don't tune into UK Sky. I tune into Australian Sky. You know, so I see what they're saying about the United Kingdom.
Right.
But that's me. That's what we look at it, don't we? I'll say.
You know, you got to look at all of it. I mean, even though, you know, like I said, that's the way I do it. I look at all of it. I make my own mind up. You know what I mean? When it comes down to it, I do my own research. You know, I do my own fact checking, that kind of shit. You know what I mean? You know, so, but I'll look at all of it, you know, and see what's going on out there, just so I can, you know, I can even hear the propaganda that they're trying to push out there, and I can recognize it for what it is or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I look at everything. You know, me personally, I, you know, and that's another thing too. Like, you know, I've said this to you, Ron. If I want to know what's going on in the UK, I will talk to somebody that lives in the fucking UK. I'm not going to sit there, and I'm not going to sit there and listen to some news broadcast at all, you know, to try and tell me what's going on. Because here in America, they won't even talk about some of the protests that goes over there in fucking UK. You know what I mean? You know, it doesn't even happen in the mainstream media over here. So if I want to find out what's going on over there, I got to talk to somebody that lives there. You know what I mean? I don't rely on news organizations or any of that stuff, man, to tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like Australia Sky, like just been mentioned in your chat. I was just thinking, you know, where they're concerned, they'll tell what's going on, like they said about the train thing, I think before our news did, but they won't tell their people, the people that live in Australia, what's going on. So it's kind of
no, they are.
no, can I just finish?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, so I think it's fear. They're trying to, you know, it's not the case of they want to tell us what's going on.
No, Sky News, Australia broadcast to the Australian public. Yeah, it's just obviously because we're on the internet and what have you, we can see what they're saying. So everything that they're talking is about the public. The only thing is that which is conflicting is because that obviously when it comes down to their own politics in Sky, that they're a little bit like Sky would be in the United Kingdom. They're sort of, when it comes to their own country, I think that they're a little bit deceitful.
A little bit
deceitful, like how, except they're not as bad, not as bad, because
the thing is got a big problem like we have.
A serious problem.
Yeah. We've seen it, haven't we?
Yeah.
Like over
serious problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, obviously Australian news is going to diss the English news like the English news would diss the Australian news. I'm pretty damn sure of that.
We've got like all these other ones, isn't it? Really, independent. Yeah.
That's what most people rely on now. Is like Wingnut was saying, ask the people on the streets. What's going on.
Yeah, sorry, I won't.
Because you won't get it from the politicians. You won't get it from your own mainstream media. You get more of the idea of what's going on.
You won't get a straight story from that, you know, from the mainstream media. No matter where it's at, and the politicians, they're just going to try and spin the narrative in their benefit, in their way. You know, so that's the reason why I like, for instance, you know, like I said, you know, if I want to find out what's going on in Australia, I'll talk to somebody that lives there. But, you know, if I want to talk to somebody to find out what's going on in the UK or Canada or whatever, I talk to people that live there that are, you know, feet on the ground type of people that are seeing it for themselves. You know what I mean? You know, because that's like that ends up being the most accurate type of stuff in my opinion. And
Yeah.
and then if you get people that are actually in those areas that are really wanting to get into that investigative type journalism, you know, it seems to be more I don't know, it seems to be more legit news. You know, but you know, it's just it's you know, you got to sit there and you know, use your critical thinking and make your own mind up and all that kind of stuff. Don't get fooled and you know all that kind of shit. But
Oh,
I know you
yeah.
gotta go, Ron. It's already getting about almost 6 in the morning over there. So, you know,
Yeah, I'm going to have to shoot off. I am going to have to shoot off. But anyway, thanks for having us come up. House of bad influence. Hopefully you didn't take it bad. I get what you're saying. You know what I mean? It's just I see it slightly a bit different. Don't trust any media station. That was my point on everything that's said. So I don't trust Rebel News wholeheartedly. If I did, I'd be a fucking fool. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be a fool. So
well, I mean, and Ron, keep me posted if you happen to hear anything more about the train incident over there. You know, send me an email or anything like that if you find any more information on it because I want to know some more about it. If you
I'll
find
be
anything
honest
more.
with you on that. Yeah, if it's hushed up and we won't find out anything straightforward through the media, then you come to your own assumptions why they're doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite a few days until they are going to bring out anything to indicate who these might be and what have you. They're going to use the, oh, well, you can't speculate. We can't talk about it because of it may hinder the court. And that's what we're being told on a regular basis. Oh, it might be this or it might be that. No, they want to brush it under the carpet because myself personally, they already know what it is, but they don't want to admit that it's their failings, not ours. So, anyway.
Well, I'm going to keep my ears open too because I want to know some more about it myself also. Because I mean, you know, this is fresh, so I mean, you know, I want to keep myself informed on what's going on. But anyway, I appreciate you coming out, Ron. You know, I enjoyed the conversation, and honestly, man, this is the most I've had in the chat in a long time on a live stream. So this was good. You know, I appreciate it.
No. I appreciate I threw up a live, you know what I mean? Because I thought, right, play a bit of music, see what's going on. So and I wasn't planning to, was I? I just thought, oh, well.
Well, I mean, I was in the same thing. After we got done doing that live earlier, I was like, well, shit, you know, I'll put something up, you know, and I put it for like a few hours away. So I was like, all right, and then I was like, oh shit, Ron, you're on, you know. So that's the reason why I popped in over there, and but I already had something. I already had one, you know. I already had my live already set for for a time. So I was like, well, I can only stay for a little while now. So that was cool.
I was glad. Yeah. I was glad when you said, "Oh, I've set up a live already." I thought, "Oh, good, I can close mine down." Yeah. I didn't know what to talk about, to be honest.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, you know, and I really didn't have anything to talk about either, Ron. You know, but you know, the stuff that we were talking about on that other live, you know, it was still fresh in my mind anyway. So that was kind of some of the things I was thinking about anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, it worked out. It worked out. You know, I mean, I'm, you know,
it'll be an interesting conversation later on today, I'd say it's afternoon or evening. It'll be in the UK when Working Class Patriot goes live again. But so it'll be interesting to see what he's got to say then, because he did throw up a little live, didn't he? Afterwards, not long after he closed that one, because he's just going through the Twitter X, whatever it's called, and seeing what they are all to show what's being said within certain tweets, which are highly going in there like a barrage. So
yeah.
So we'll definitely want to address it later on. I'm pretty damn certain of that. So
Well, I'll keep my eyes open. Like I said, I mean, it's just now getting close to midnight over here, and I'll probably be sitting here wandering around YouTube for a couple more hours before I go to bed. But I mean, I'll catch you around later on, and you people coming right at the end of it, man. What's up? But yeah, appreciate you, Ron, and I will catch you. I'll catch you out there later on, and I'll get back up with you. All right.
Okay, then. Yep. I don't. You know me. I never know when I'm gonna throw a live. It's just spontaneous sort of thing.
You know how I am. I'm the same way, Ron. I am. Yeah. I'm the same way. So
I'll just say hello, Neo. Not seen you in quite a while, but to all of you, take care of yourselves. You and your families and whatever. Gregory, another familiar person. But yeah, thanks a lot, Wingnut, for having us up. And hopefully I'll start, if it wasn't for you turning around and saying that you was going live, I wouldn't have even known. I don't get notifications, but people don't I don't think people get notifications of my channel. So because of what we talk about.
Well, honestly, unless I put a, if I do a live and I actually post that I'm going live in like whatever time, whatever, people won't get a notification unless I do that. Because otherwise I'll do a random on the spot live, and a lot of people won't get a notification until after the live is done or right in the middle of it or whatever, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because I'm the same way when it comes down to it. A lot of times I don't have a set schedule, so I just, whenever I feel like it, kind of thing, or if I've got something to talk about, it's like, sometimes like lately I've been, because it's starting to get cool out here, I'll get the fire going out here in the yard, and I'll just sit out here next to the fire and just start talking shit or telling stories.
Talking shit. Chewing the fat.
I mean, yeah. But I've been noticing if I do something after the midnight, I start getting that night owl crowd. You know what I mean? I'll go from like midnight until like 4 a.m. or something like that, and that's where all the night owls just start popping in. I get more people on those times and stuff than I do if I do something during the day. So I get more people watching the review or the replay than I do the actual live itself. You know what I mean? And especially if it's just me up here, if I get more people on the panel, more people will start popping in. But if it's just me up here talking and, communicating with the chat, I'll get probably 5 people in the damn, in the chat during the live stream. And that's about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it makes it more interesting when there's other people on the panel with me and we can have a conversation and stuff, and then get the chat engaged at the same time. I
know. Sometimes I have to goad people up to come on my panel.
Yeah, I understand. You know what I mean? Because not everybody wants to get up on your own panel. That's the reason why I do those backstages sometimes too, because some people just don't want to be up on panel and out here, in the view of YouTube and all that stuff. You get them backstage, they feel a little bit more comfortable and stuff like that, and it's a more of an intimate type of a setting because it's just us on panel and that's it. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's a better way to get to know people too. Because otherwise all I see is what I see in the chat, and and sometimes I can get them on panel and backstage and actually have a conversation and get to know them, that kind of thing. Then I won't have to worry about it, even if it's like a porn fucking crap, like a goddamn Crinkle motherfucker or something like that, trying to do some stupid shit. It doesn't affect me if it's backstage. You know what I'm saying?
That Crinkle, if you don't know about Crinkle, that's a whole new fucking world.
Yeah. And honestly, I haven't seen a whole lot of him in a while now, which is a good thing. But evidently he's crawled back in his hole somewhere. But,
He'll crawl out. Anyway, you take care of yourselves before we get into the Crinkle fucking madness world.
Yeah. All right, Ron, you have a good one out there. And Maria, you have a good one also, all right?
You too, Anarchy. You take care.
Yeah, you take care of yourself and everybody in chat.
Yeah.
I'll catch you later when you're somewhere.
All right.
Bye, mate.
All right, everybody out there in chat, I really appreciate everybody. You people, I'm sorry, this is just you came at the right at the tail end of this thing. It's almost like 3 hours and 30 minutes I've been going, but I appreciate everybody that came in and everybody that followed in from Ron's that came in. I appreciate all you guys that coming in here and participating. And listening to our crap, because I don't know. We just got to keep this dialogue, this conversations and stuff like that going. And I'm worldwide. I talk to people all over the place. I love perspectives from different people from different places, because what happens over here in the U.S. is not necessarily what happens over in the U.K. And it's the same thing everywhere else. But there are things that are affecting all of us worldwide, and it's all basically the same. So we need to keep that dialogue, to keep that conversation going, so we can actually find solutions to the problems that are being presented to us, and from the powers that should not be. All right. Y'all have a good one. I will catch you guys on the flip side. The 1122 Wingnut Radio out here for Anarchy Television. And I'm back out.